We are left with two questions. One, what did Governor Walz and Keith Ellison know about the fraud? And two, when did they actually know it? I would suggest that if they do not give direct and truthful answers to both these questions at this hearing, then they both need to be put under oath in a deposition.
Governor Walz telling the committee that Operation Metro Surge negatively impacted ongoing fraud investigations and that the turmoil inside the local U.S. Attorney's Office isn't helping.
If we partner together in this, our chance of defeating this fraud is that much higher. But right now, it's stymied. There's no investigators over there. There's no U.S. attorneys. The FBI has been decimated, and it's very difficult.
Democrats on the committee issuing a report this afternoon saying Republicans have singled out Minnesota for political purposes while ignoring the same type of fraud in some Republican-led states. They say Governor Walz and Attorney General Ellison take fraud seriously and did not ignore it, as some Republicans on the committee alleged. The Minnesota State Patrol investigating a fatal crash in St. Paul involving a stolen vehicle and a Ramsey County deputy.
St. Paul police spotted a stolen vehicle near 7th and Maria around 10:45 Tuesday. As officers tried to stop that vehicle, he took off onto Interstate 94. The 27-year-old driver of that stolen vehicle was arrested a short time later, but as other officers responded to help with the incident, a Ramsey County deputy with lights and sirens on collided with a vehicle near Robert Street and 12th. State Patrol spokesperson Mike Lee.
It's tragic in any fatality, and we understand this is an open case still, and we're looking into it. We are the primary investigating agency on this one.
The woman that was hit by the deputy died at Regions. Several others were injured. Susie Jones, News Talk 830 WCCO.
At the state capitol, DFL lawmakers outlining their affordability agenda, which they say includes helping people buy homes. Representative Esther Abaje says they want to prohibit corporations from buying up single-family homes as it creates higher prices for the general public.
Homes are not a commodity for corporations on their spreadsheet. Homes should be where you are able to rest, recharge, and perhaps build some of your own wealth.
Other key proposals involve reforms in health care, child care, and utility oversight. Game 1 in the books at the Minnesota State High School boys hockey tournament. In Class A, top-seeded Hibbing Chisholm defeating 8th-seeded Dodge County 4-1 with 4 different players scoring for the Blue Jackets. They advance to the semifinals now, where they will face either Matamidi or St. Cloud Cathedral. That game in progress right now. And tonight, Mankato West faces Delano, 6 o'clock, with Northern Lakes and War Road following at 8. WCCO News Time is 3:06.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Going to find an accident working as you travel East 94, making way toward White Bear Avenue. The activity off to the right side. Actually, it looks like it's going to be on the ramp to White Bear Avenue, so be aware of it if you're headed that way. North 35 east, make way toward the Forest Lake Split. Got an accident working off to the right shoulder. Get ready for slowdowns past the scene. 394 eastbound, some congestion as you move between Penn and downtown Minneapolis. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters presents Guys and Dolls, a high-rolling musical spectacle packed with iconic songs and dazzling dance numbers. Don't miss this Tony Award-winning Best Musical, Guys and Dolls. Tickets at chanhassendt.com.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Brought to you by the Chanhassen Dinner Theaters, always entertaining you. Here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
The fog is going to form again overnight tonight as we've melted more snow and the wind will stay light. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, a high of 52. We still have that storm system coming on Friday. It looks like rain with a few rumbles of thunder possible. We should warm to 52. There will be snow coming through on the backside Saturday morning. Should amount to less than an inch of accumulation.
Partly cloudy right now, 48 at News Talk 830 WCCO.
All kinds of talk for all kinds of people.
Well, it's just one big happy family, isn't it?
News Talk 830 WCCO. You're thinking about it. Jason's talking about it. There are no breaks on bold takes here. Buckle up. This is Drive Time with DeRUSH. Now, live from Minnesota's biggest microphone, here's Jason DeRUSH.
right, it is Wednesday. Welcome into Drive Time with DeRUSH. Once again, the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, in front of Congress talking about fraud a little bit anyway. Is there a question, a legitimate question you would like here answered from the governor of Minnesota? Because today in front of Congress, I heard a bunch of Democrats talking about immigration, a bunch of Republicans just talk with no chance for anyone to give a real answer. And then I heard one solitary interaction that gave me a little bit of hope that maybe these guys could actually conduct a hearing, ask some questions, do things in a way that is about getting some answers, about making some progress, because I am concerned that we're in the phase of this fraud discussion where it's just about embarrassing your opponent. No one really gives a crap about trying to make Minnesota better, trying to cut down on fraud, trying to protect your and my money. That's what I care about. There are two reasons that I care about fraud hugely. One is that I care about the people who actually need these services. Two, I care that we have trust and integrity in our government. Those things matter. And if we don't trust that our tax dollars are going to really support the things that they're supposed to be going to, well, then the whole thing falls apart. So what question do you legitimately want answered? 651-461-9226. I'm going to show you an example of a Republican doing things right, in my view, and a Republican doing things wrong in this hearing. Let's start with the good. It's me. You know, I like to start with the positivity. I like to start with the optimism. So let's start with Texas Republican Pete Sessions talking with Governor Tim Walz and having an exchange that was trying to get something useful out of this process.
I was kind of hoping that you might show up, or both of you might show up, because you're Methodist preachers here, and say, we didn't do everything right. We think there were a lot of things done wrong. We think we want to learn. We come and ask that you understand that this is something that happened in our midst. Governor, what did we do wrong here? How do you want to set that record straight? Because otherwise it's going to be a he said against you guys. And I want you to tell me, where did we get it wrong on this side?
Well, Congressman, I appreciate that, and I do say...
and you and I are friends.
We are, and I've said it publicly before. We disagreed on some issues, but we had a lot of conversations on the floor. Look, I think I agree with you. As governor, I've taken accountability for this. I'm not going to run again. I need to spend the time fixing this. This does undermine trust in government. Do I wish there were things that could have happened earlier? Yes, but in this job, wish didn't do it. I'm looking into where I see it. I can tell you this, Congressman, that the safeguards we're putting in place are going to make a difference. I think other states can use them. I think one of the things is, I asked if helping in the partnership piece of this, understanding that this happens in all states. I'm certainly not proud this happened. I certainly understand it happened on my watch. Whether it predated me or not, I'm here. I think some of the things is there's some legal changes we need around Medicaid eligibility issues that you're talking about that actually might get at this, because I would hope, Congressman, you and I agree, these programs are valuable and they need to go to the people who need them. And we need to stop the fraud that's in there. And I'm trying to explain to you what we did from the beginning. These people continue to be a moving target, and they are very sophisticated.
Is there still a problem?
Is there still fraud happening?
Is there still a problem we'll say in Minnesota? I know we're not.
I think there's more work to be done. Yes.
That's a good interchange, right? Is there still a problem? Are there things that we can learn? Are there things that other states can put into place to try to make this better? Pete Sessions doing it right. That is the point of this, right? What is the point of bringing, yes, it's federal funds that were sent to Minnesota. So those federal funds were taken advantage of and stolen by the fraudsters. So there is for sure a good reason to have the federal government involved in this. But let's get to how we fix this going forward. Here is Tom Emmer, who had, shall we say, a different approach to this particular hearing.
Did you know, sir, about the long-running FBI investigation into feeding our future? Yes or no?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Emmer.
Reclaiming my time. When did you personally become aware of the FBI investigation? That's all I'm asking.
Representative Emmer, as you know, I have addressed this issue many times.
All right. Reclaiming my time.
Loves to reclaim his time. Tom Emmer did not give a chance for anybody to answer anything. He reclaimed his time. Tom Emmer has an audience of one, and that audience is Donald Trump. And I don't know. Do we know what Tom Emmer believes? I don't know. What a disaster for the state that the most powerful Republican in Congress appears to mainly exist to just try to dunk on the governor of his home state. What a waste, right? Like, what an absolute waste. The question that I think I care about here is, how do we prevent this going forward? And is Congress, is the federal government going to help us get there? I'm not seeing a lot of optimism that the congressional oversight process is any real way that would get us to a positive outcome. I just don't. I don't see it. It's so disappointing to see this kind of nonsense every single time. There are some legitimate questions, I think, that remain that I have yet to really hear addressed by Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison. My main question is, and it's not even for these top two, because I think, Tim Walz isn't running again. Keith Ellison, you'll have your chance when it's time to vote if you think that the Attorney General should be held responsible for his role in this. But my question is much lower on the totem pole. Like, who are the people who had an opportunity maybe to put the brakes on this, and why didn't they? That is, to me, what I'm more concerned about. And what safeguards could we put in that would still be efficient in getting money to people who need it, but would prevent the money from being ripped off? I don't know. Pretty simple. Pretty simple to me. 651-461-9226. What question do you want answered here? Charlie's in Becker. Charlie, thanks for listening. You're on CCO. Go ahead. Charlie, you there? Oh, we lost him. He hung up. Lots of texts coming in, and your calls are welcome at 651-461-9226. Bottom line, will we see any of the fraud money again? Says a texter. Senior citizens living on a fixed income, but prices continue to rise. It's pathetic. So some of this money will get clawed back, but mostly no, right? What you can hope for is that the people who are responsible go to jail. That's what I would like to see on the justice side of this. I will confess that concern over the justice side of this feels a little phony to me when we just decimated the U.S. Attorney's Office by forcing these prosecutors to deal with immigration cases in this totally manufactured crisis by the federal government. So where was the concern about locking people up for defrauding us over the last 2 months? Texters, guilty people always want to gloss over the accountability part and get to the how do we fix this part when they get caught, says a texter. I think that's interesting. I would be curious to have a conversation with that texter from 952, because what accountability do you want? What accountability do you want from the governor? What more do you want? maybe that's what you guys should be questioning or texting him with. 651-461-9226. Lots of text, lots of reaction to this hearing today. I will say these hearings, I am so close to saying we should take the oversight hearing away from Congress because it's such a waste of time. It's such a waste of time. Unless you're going to get to what they want is their big trophy. I'm going to take down the governor. The governor's not running again. I want the smaller trophy, like who screwed this up, and if they screwed it up along the road, how are we going to fix that in the next administration? Lots more to come on this. We'll have Democratic U.S. Representative Betty McCollum joining us just after 4 o'clock. She looked very frustrated with Tom Emmer. We'll talk to her about that coming up.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRUSH. Video streaming live on YouTube and always on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO.
All right, Jason here for our friends at Minnesota Pork. Oh, my goodness. Minnesota Pork Board doing so much to take care of our family farmers, our tradition of farming, every corner of this state. So much innovation going on in this area, taking care of the people, taking care of the pigs, taking care of the planet. I have had the pleasure on this show of getting to know so many second, third, fourth generation Minnesota family pig farmers. And when you have a conversation with a pig farmer, it makes you feel even better about that pork chop or that bacon or that sausage or that pork tenderloin. Oh, my goodness. It's the flavor, right? Taste what pork can do. That's the website as well, tastewhatporkcando.com. Put flavor on the table. And tonight, with the warm weather over the next couple of days, it might be grilling season. And if you go to tastewhatporkcando.com, you can filter recipes by cooking method, and you go right to grilling. And let's just do it live and see what they have. Grilled ribeye chops with mole sauce. Oh, boy. Pork bulgogi lettuce wraps that you make on the grill. How about a barbecue pork smash burger slider? All of that, you can make those sliders in 15 minutes. Easy, easy dinner ready to go. Why not? Get to that grocery store and butcher shop, and let's have Minnesota pork for dinner tonight. Oh, yeah.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Breakfast burritos for the morning brainstorm. Easy Cater. Paninis for the lunch and learn. Easy Cater. Barbecue for the clients from Boston. Easy Cater. Brownie boxes and mini bundt cakes for Brenda's workiversary. Easy Cater. One simple platform to feed any size group with food they love from favorite restaurants, plus tools to help you meet dietary needs and stay on budget. Easy Cater. All the food for your workplace, all in one place. Start an order at easycater.com.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRUSH. Video streaming live on YouTube and always, and I mean always, on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Talking about the latest congressional circus. Tim Walz, I think, is doing the right thing by not running for governor again. We said this for quite some time, that for Minnesota to really have a fresh start and a fresh approach with fraud, having Tim Walz running again is, in my view, not good for Minnesota. And so he decided not to run again. Now, Tom Emmer, at the end of his questioning today, suggested that, if Ellison and Walz don't answer truthfully, he'd like to see them answer questions under oath in a deposition. Does anybody seriously think that what Tim Walz and Keith Ellison did rises to the level of a crime? If we're going to lock politicians up for being uninterested in the details, for being more interested in their personal sort of rising profile than they are in the nitty-gritty of the operational aspects of the government, I think we have to lock most of them up. Jennifer on Facebook, when I say, what do you want? What do you want to know? We want the media to be honest and quit protecting these criminals. I do think there are people, and Jill says she also wants them locked up. I guess I would say to really think about what you're asking for there. This idea we have today that we need to, criminally prosecute people and lock them up. Run a better candidate and win an election. How about that idea? Try that. I just think this idea, what an absolute disappointment in the political process that so many people think the appropriate way to go is prosecution, except when those, prosecutions against Donald Trump, that was politically motivated. That's terrible. That's terrible. Dick is in New Brighton. Dick, thanks for listening. What would you like answered if you were on that panel and you were saying, all right, finally I get a chance to ask the leader of Minnesota, where there was at least $1 billion of fraud in this state. What would you like to know, Dick?
What I would ask, and thanks a lot, Jason, for having me on.
Sure.
But what I would ask is to Keith Ellison and Tim Walz and to federal people, anybody and everybody involved in this, to continue to spend as much time as you possibly can on getting to the bottom of this and getting as much money back into the state coffers as you possibly can. And the caveat I have here is let's use it for reducing property taxes, reducing taxes as a whole. Do not create more new programs, putting into programs that may have been leading up to this fraud. But like I say, the question would be, how much time are you willing to invest into getting everything resolved before you leave office or if you're reelected to office as Attorney General?
I like it. That's a good question. Thank you. Thank you, Dick. I did like the idea that was brought forth last week by the guy, Tim O'Malley, who was appointed by Governor Walz to run the, whatever they called it, the program integrity thing, where it was apparently like a 50-day appointment. And then O'Malley's like, peace, I'm good. Here's my 57-page report and I'm out. That idea that you could get retired investigators and, if you find some fraud, you get 10% of the money. Great. Perfect. Other states do similar things. I will say this. I think there is a gross misunderstanding of who was defrauded in this case. The money that was defrauded from Minnesota is almost all federal government money that the state was processing. This is sort of how this works. The federal government sends money to the state. A state agency administers a program, but the way they do it, because we wanted smaller government and we have this idea that the private sector can do things more efficiently, is then the state takes that money, gives it to another third party who then gives that money to another. See what we're doing here? We got smaller government, but we have 7 layers of bureaucracy trying to get the money to the people. And so you get problems. So one fix, I think, is by government taking some of this stuff back over. If we believe it's important enough to dedicate hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to social service programs, why aren't we doing it ourselves? You either have to bring it back in-house, which does mean expanding government, but I think the overall cost would be lower to us and the integrity would be higher. The other option is fewer people sort of pushing out money and more people checking, more auditors, and that would be an option too. I think either of those ways would be valid ways of addressing this. Lots of text coming in. I think the state should work on figuring out how it happened and put procedures in place so it doesn't happen in the future. The feds have no interest in solving the problem. I think that is true. I agree with you. I want to know who is responsible for letting the fraud happen. I'm still holding the governor responsible because no one was fired, says Greg in Maple Grove. I agree with that. I think that's totally valid. Why was no one fired? I think that is absolutely, it's a question that would have haunted Tim Walz if he ran again. It's part of why he didn't run again. Because he was going to have to answer all these questions. Now, Amy Klobuchar, she doesn't have to answer these questions. Does Peggy Flanagan have to answer more of these questions? I've asked when she's been on this show. Like, what did you do? What did you do to stop fraud? Did you raise any questions? I think so far in her Senate campaign, she has not had to answer, or at least she has not chosen to answer a lot of that. It's tricky when you're lieutenant governor. It's sort of tough to say, like, well, I was sort of a nobody in the administration. Like, I didn't really have much to do with it. Jason, the folks who are supposed to be doing the questioning are also mostly a bunch of frauds. Jason, another texter, how can you say that Emmer didn't give Ellison time to answer? There were big pauses in between. He just sat there going, Mr. Chairman, while trying to think. Well, it's because the questions were the questions weren't real questions. That's why Emmer kept going. Very good stuff. Lots of good text. So I appreciate it. Keep it coming. We're going to break in a minute. We're going to talk about hockey hair. Hockey hair. The tournament is on. We got a barn burner between St. Cloud Cathedral and Matamidi, tied at 1 right now. Tracy Perlman from Grand Casino Arena. Are you still into the hockey hair thing, or are you over it? We'll talk about that coming up.
This is Drive Time with DeRUSH on News Talk 830 WCCO. To all the fans who are regular users of the voice message feature on the Odyssey app,
if you're going to be critical on both ends.
we say you're welcome.
I am absolutely sick of paying more and more, outreaching inflation by far.
Now, to those of you who haven't tried it yet, we ask, what are you waiting for?
We should definitely be able to charge the ICE agent who shot and killed Renee Good.
Clip the microphone right next to the Listen Live button and record your thoughts.
Hey, who is ever on the radio right now? What a buffoon.
Whatever you want.
Thought I would try out this voice messaging on Odyssey.
For News Talk 830 WCCO.
Taking one of those instant cash offers for your home is easy, but if you take it, you're missing out on tens of thousands of dollars. Hi, it's Vanita. It's easy to learn what your home is worth. The John Schuster Group with Coldwell Banker Realty will tell you for free online in seconds. Chances are your home is worth more than those instant offers. The Good Neighbor agent can help you sell it fast for way more money. JohnSchusterGroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving. JohnSchusterGroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply.
Recalculating route. Estimated arrival time. Never.
For people with nasal congestion, snoring, or sleep apnea, finding a solution feels like a never-ending road trip.
First stop, my primary doctor. Then the pharmacy. Then a sleep specialist. Then an ENT.
What if there was just one destination for all your problems?
Welcome to Advent, your one-stop solution for nasal congestion, snoring, and sleep apnea for over 20 years. Unlike many other practices, we focus exclusively on these conditions, so you get comprehensive care in one location. Over 95% of patients with severe nasal breathing issues report improvement. Plus, most insurance is accepted for our effective 20-minute in-office treatments.
You have arrived at Clear Breathing.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-284-1238. 800-284-1238. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-284-1238.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
610 eastbound jammed up is moving from 169 over to Highway 252. North 169 seeing some slowdowns as move past 610 itself, heading up into Champa. 94 westbound jammed up Hemlock Lane to Weaver Lake Road. Over on the east side, you'll find East 36 running a bit of slowdowns in place and moving from Selling over to Rice Street. Joey Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
You sit on your deck and you're sick of looking at your crappy siding. Type JTR on your computer for roofing, siding, gutters, windows, and more. JTR Roofing has you covered from the roof on down, serving the Twin Cities Metro. For a free estimate, visit jtrroofinginc.com.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Forecast brought to you by JTR Roofing. Here is Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Expect another foggy start tomorrow morning as we fall back to 35 tonight. The wind will be light once again. We'll see some sunshine by afternoon with a high of 52. The active day is Friday. That's when the rain showers will roll through. We might hear a rumble of thunder or two. 52 the afternoon high. Expect snow in northern Minnesota on the backside of the storm system. That will swing through here in the metro even, but less than an inch expected. We do warm up near 60 on Sunday and Monday.
Contrast nicely today.
Right now it is warm, 49 and mostly cloudy here on CCO.
Jason DeRUSH.
You never know on this show, yes.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Drive Time with DeRUSH on News Talk 830 WCCO.
It is Wednesday at 3:35, so it's Tracy Perlman time. She is in her office at Grand Casino Arena. Tracy, happy Wednesday.
Yes, happy hockey tournament time to you. Happy boys hockey tournament week.
Hockey tournament is one of a kind in the country.
Yeah.
It is, do I care about high school hockey? No.
Absolutely.
I do not. Do I love this tournament? Yeah. It's so unique, you know?
It is so fun. I got into work this morning a little before 9, and there were already people like buzzing around outside the stadium. It is super fun here. And for St. Paul. This is the busiest month of the year for downtown St. Paul. And the Downtown Alliance put out some numbers. They estimated last year almost 100,000 people during this stretch were here last year in March. So, and then this is the week that it all happens leading up to St. Patrick's Day. So,
all right,
we're happy to be the hub of it.
It's fun. Like I'm living in an apartment in downtown St. Paul, and it's just fun to see everybody walking around. It is extra nice that the weather is so good, right? Like that is helpful.
Yeah. Do we bring up the fact that we always have a tournament blizzard?
We can bring that up, but like, do
It
we?
happens. It happens this time of year. So it may rain, it may snow.
Tracy, come on.
You know what? We have a lot of free fun events indoors. If you don't
look, it's just not even true. This tournament blizzard thing, there are tournaments going on in Minnesota for like 2 months. Like, so we can say there's a tournament blizzard, but it's absolutely, this has been BS from before the social media time.
Listen,
so,
I'm gonna say what we're all thinking, and that's some of the other tournaments that happen on the other side of town. People just don't care about as much as they care about the hockey tournaments and the wrestling tournaments and the gymnastics tournaments.
I don't know.
Those ones that happen on this side of town. Team St. Paul. Come on now. Team St. Paul.
What about the speech tournament? What about the high school speech
They don't
tournament?
have a blizzard. Listen, we've got the cool stuff. Let us have our
cool
thing.
stuff.
We've got the cool
Well,
stuff.
you do have the hair. You have the hair, the hockey hair thing. It's Bring Me the News. On their website, they have it's pretty amazing. They are tracking like each team.
Yes.
With like a gallery. Like here's,
I know.
This is pretty.
How about Great Clips? So not only is Great Clips, sponsors this now, they're at the Let's Play Hockey Expo, which is like the free fan fest that's over at River Center. They'll give you a haircut right here at River Center.
That's
a cool one.
So most of the boys are doing like these very bleached out. Like I've seen a lot of bleached out. I thought we would see more like
the floppy.
More floppy.
Does not that flop? So there, the one that Adam Sandler called it the broccoli haircut, and that's what I call it now. So imagine, if you will, floppy, curly, wavy top, shorter buzzed. Like it almost looks like a mullet that hasn't fully grown out to its mullet potential. Yeah. And so that's what I saw a lot of last night at the hockey banquet as I was leaving work.
It's, I think it's gotten a little carried away.
Because they know it's going to get them on the video. They know it's going to catch attention.
That's right.
I always want to know, like, what happens when you go to prom and you have the bleached out hair? Do you just buzz it?
I assume the girls love this, right?
Sure.
No, you're saying no.
That's not my jam. You know what? I say.
Well, you're not a 17-year-old girl.
What?
I'm sorry. Sorry to say it.
I think whatever hairstyle you wear with confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's cool. It's all cool. What would your hockey hairstyle be? Like, what would you be?
High school what would I want to rock?
Yeah.
Well, I think this year, I would want to do something sort of red, white, and blue. Something gold medal, Olympic, maybe. Mm-hmm. Can you shave the rings, like the Olympic rings, into the side of your head?
You could. Yeah, I like when people do like the racing stripes.
Red, white, and blue racing stripes. That would be my
that could be cool. Dan, what would your hockey hair be?
Well, you've seen my 90s
You
mullet.
have the mullet. Yeah,
so
you
I have to bring that back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah.
I think
we're all just jealous of the hair. Like to have that kind of flowing lock.
I know.
Well, I mean,
no, seriously.
Don't you wish you had that kind of flow?
Yes. I wish my hair grew fast enough that I could do a crazy cut and have normal hair for graduation. You know what I mean? Like that's all. I did bangs once. That was a mistake. So I would maybe have done some sort of cool, like bright lights. That's like a low light. That's a color, like maybe my school colors streaked into my hair.
The Star Tribune went along with Delano. They went along with Delano to show, which is sort of hilarious, right? Like, and I get it. Like, this is all John King's fault and the hockey hair tournament thing.
So if we're going to blame anyone, blame the guy who monetized it.
Well, he did it for charity. He did it for the Hendrickson Foundation.
Hendy Foundation, yep.
But if it wasn't for that video, would this be a thing? Maybe not.
No.
Maybe not.
Not as much.
Not as much. Yeah.
No, I do.
But it drives the clicks, right? So the fact that the Star Tribune went to the Fantastic Sam's in Delano to get these kids get their hair cut. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny.
I appreciate the students that get all dressed up too. Like it's not just the fan, like the players themselves are doing like the crazy hair, but the dedication to the outfits for the fans has been very impressive. I did see a group of kids walking around with different letters on, but they weren't in order. So I have no idea what they were trying to spell out. It was just a lot of E's in a row.
I always worry about that. Like if you do it wrong, you're like, you know, you're spelling it wrong.
Who you're sitting next to.
That's right. What if you have a fight at some point during the tournament? I mean, these are important questions.
Yeah. I can't think of other tournaments or things that do unique things like the hockey hair. Like I was talking to one of my colleagues in preparation for this segment because I do prep for it.
Yes.
And we had said, you know, like the NHL players, they'll shave, you know, right before the playoffs and then maybe not grow out their mustaches or grow out their facial hair. But like basketball doesn't have a thing like this. Baseball doesn't have a thing like this. You don't hear about swimming or gymnastics, dance. And so, I don't know. I'm always curious what people's like, is it a superstition thing? Is it just a like, hey, we made it, I get to do it pride point?
Yeah. I don't know. It is very interesting. It's become like if I were a coach, because you know how coaches always get all freaked out about distractions. We want the distractions out of the locker room. If I were a coach, I would be a little concerned about distractions. The hair being a distraction. We got to stay focused on the game, you know?
Or is it a bonding thing? Because you're with your teammates, you're coming up with the shtick, you're all kind of hyping each other up.
I think it probably is, but I'm just thinking of the mindset of like the idiot coach, you know? Like coaches don't want anybody to have any fun, do they? I don't know. Maybe high school coaches are different.
Why not? You're at the tournament.
Yeah, you're there to win.
We're here to win, and you're here to make your parents and your neighbors proud.
Texters saying, we love the hockey hair back in the 70s, and now I still enjoy seeing it. Many girls were jealous of that beautiful hair, but for many guys, that hair is fleeting. At our 10-year reunion, many guys were balding. These guys need to enjoy it. These guys need to enjoy it while they can. Yeah.
Do you think it's the mullet? Was it the mullet that did you in, Dan?
It's possible. I can't rule it out.
Too much gravity, like sort of pulling.
You know what? You peaked. It was just too cool.
It must have been it. That must have been it.
Wrestlers bleach their hair now,
yes.
someone says.
We saw a lot of wrestlers with
last
bleached
week,
buzz cuts. Yep.
Yeah. With all this bleached hair, how many burned scalps are there?
Ooh.
Do you think these high school boys know how to protect their roots and skin? Yeah, no.
We were also saying with the bleached hair and the buzz cuts, like I think if you're a wrestler, you don't want longer hair. You don't want to give someone a reason to pull your hair.
Yeah, I always wonder about that in football, where you see some of these receivers that have very long hair.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you're wearing these uniforms that are designed so no one can get a good grip on it, but could you just grab your hair?
Yeah, but then you look at the female athletes, and they all have like gorgeous long ponytails. Yeah. Like all the hockey players, Taylor Heisey's running around with her ears all pierced. And I'm like, that would make me so nervous under my helmet that would snag. But you see, they all have really long, healthy hair. And that's maybe where my hair follicles went wrong, is I wasn't playing sports well enough.
Very good. Stand by, Tracy, in a minute. The one thing you would want people to get kicked off an airplane for, United Airlines. What they have is sort of something that I just can't even believe is a problem. I've never seen this as a problem on planes, but maybe it is. A new way you can get kicked off a plane and what you would use as your power of ejection. We'll talk about that when we come back. Tracy Perlman here on Drive Time.
This is Drive Time with DeRUSH on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Jason here with a message about insurance, about choices, and about saving money. The Canopy Group is all about choices. That is my insurance agency. And I say agency because it's a whole team that is ready to help you when you need it. Their number is 800-967-3389. I'll repeat that for you in a minute because you're going to want to give them a call. That's how I first became a client of the Canopy Group, just by calling that 800 number. And it was so simple. They just wanted to know, what is your current insurance, how much you're paying, and what kind of coverage you have. It took about 10 minutes. Kyle went to work. And the Canopy Group has 16 different companies at its disposal. Now, your insurance agent probably has one company. And maybe that's fine. But wouldn't you like to do one call and compare with 16 different companies? You could maybe get better coverage, maybe get a better price. Personally, I got both. I saved more than $800 the first year I went with the Canopy Group on my home and auto insurance, and my coverage got better. So why not find out what they can do for you? It's a Minnesota company. The service we've had has been tremendous. You know, it changes kids off to college, turning coverage on, turning coverage off. They're awesome. Reach out to the Canopy Group. You can do it online, thecanopygroup.com. Get a quote right there, or make that call. 800-967-3389.
What's with the encyclopedia?
The word Corbin symbolizes intelligence and foresight.
Is that important?
Sure is, because Corbin is also the name of Barufka's popular bedroom collection for people with the foresight and intelligence to understand long-term value.
A platform bed with sleek, modern lines, ideal for smaller bedrooms, and clutter-free functionality with integrated AC and USB outlets.
I can finally get my extension cords back.
Available in solid oak, maple, and cherry.
The patented Barufka's bracket assures everything will stay tight. Built in Minnesota, a queen bed is Craftsman Direct priced from $21.75 or $91 per month for 24 months.
It says here Corbin also means raven or crow.
It's time for me to fly.
Oh, Jim. Barufka's, no gimmicks, haggling, or hard to understand pricing in Woodbury, Burnsville, and Minnetonka.
Decidedly different.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
And brought to you by Whole Foods Market. Going to find your slowdowns place, traveling 694 either direction between Highway 10 and 252. Traveling 610 eastbound, got your slowdowns place there as move past 169 over to Highway 252. Southbound 35W slows through Minneapolis, loosens up a little bit once you get beyond Lake Street. Save on hearty main dishes at Whole Foods Market. Get 20% off air-chilled, boneless, skinless chicken breast with Prime through March 10th. As always, there are no antibiotics ever. While supplies last, shop in store online. Terms apply. Sherry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Jordana Green here. I pray you and your family are always safe. But if there's ever a time where you need an advocate after an accident, let Mike Bryant of Bradshaw & Bryant help you. He will work with and for you in dealing with the insurance company. Call 800-770-7008 today. Bradshaw & Bryant, seeking justice for the injured.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Forecast brought to you by Bradshaw & Bryant. It's a little unseasonably warm. And that created that crazy fog this morning. More fog tonight, low of 35. Tomorrow, 52. Friday, rain and thunder. Might be a little snow Friday night, but it looks like it's trending north. We'll see how that goes. Average high is 36. This time of year, it's 48 on CCO.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRUSH. Video streaming live on YouTube
About 5 minutes here,
always on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO.
A little bit of breaking news over the last 20 minutes. We learned that former University of Minnesota football coach Lou Holtz has died. That's perhaps not the way that most of the obituaries on the death of Lou Holtz will be written. Lou Holtz did coach the Gophers from 1984 to 1985. He left for some school. Where did he go? Some school in Indiana. I think.
Some no-name school down there.
Just small liberal arts college.
Small liberal. As a Marquette alum, we have tremendous hate for Notre Dame. Some might call it jealousy. Some might say we didn't get into Notre Dame, and so we went to Marquette. But Lou Holtz, what an absolute legend. And his record, Tracy, imagine this. 100 wins, 30 losses over 11 years as the head coach of Notre Dame. National championship in his third season. But crazy. I mean, today college football is so different, right, than it was back then, where then if you had a great coach and you could recruit high school kids, that's how it would be. And Lou Holtz, an absolute legend.
Yeah, I would be curious to know of like the losing seasons, what were his records, right? I feel like you don't get the same pass now that you would then.
Right.
To make mistakes, adjust, rebuild, succeed.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, he had, as a Gophers coach, he was 10-12, which, 84 to 85, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. He was hired, as I recall, he was hired here to rebuild the program. There have been a couple of guys who were hired in Minnesota over the years to rebuild the program.
That happens sometimes here.
Lou Holtz, though. Friend of Sid Hartman. You heard Sid and Lou talk on this radio station quite a bit, so we'll have more on the life of Lou Holtz and his death coming up at CBS News and local news for sure. Okay, Tracy Perlman with us. We were talking before the break about the news announced by United Airlines that they were going to kick people off for good as part of this electronic device ban.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you have to wear headphones.
Yeah.
You have to wear headphones. And if you are listening to a video, have you ever been on a flight where people were not? Where they were just like letting her rip? Kids.
Which I have a higher threshold tolerance for than an adult.
No, if a kid is listening to Barney.
Playing on their iPad or something. Yeah.
Blippi, get them out.
Mhm.
Get them out. Kick them off.
Just eject.
For life. You literally hit the eject.
No,
I'm with you. We have a little more tolerance.
Yeah, I have more. I think that makes sense. The people who insist on finishing up a phone conversation before the plane gets off or right when you land.
Yeah.
Come on. Susan, you'll be fine. Just give it a minute. We're all going to be off the plane.
And how about a text message? I've seen this too. Like, we've landed. Like, just send a text.
Right.
Everybody has a cell phone, right? Maybe not.
And I understand if you're driving, that's fine. It's going to take another 15, 20 minutes to get to the gate, deboard.
All right.
Do your stuff. So yeah, I think you should have to wear earphones. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, obviously. Texters say, Dan, what would you kick people off? You were just on a flight. Is there a violation that you would kick someone off a plane?
Sitting in the middle seat of my row.
Okay.
Hey.
Dan wants no one in the middle
No one in the middle seat.
I will say, respect your space.
Texter says, I would kick people off that ask to trade seats.
You can ask. I think you can ask. I don't want you to be.
I think it depends on the circumstance. There's a lot of people who try to cheap out and game the system, and then it becomes a me problem. You could have paid more for the seat you want.
But again, go ahead and ask. If I say no, you go back to your seat. Don't villainize me.
But then you have to feel like the bad guy.
No, not when I paid for it.
All right. I like it. it. I think if you spill your drink on someone, you should be ejected for life. That should be it. And if you get up too early into the aisle. CBS News is next.
Hey, it's Adam Carter here, inviting you to join me November 30th to explore tropical Costa Rica with Colette. We'll stay in the Monteverde Cloud Forest, a place you have to see to believe, where trees grow to heights of 100 feet and the wildlife is abundant from butterflies to sloths. Enjoy breathtaking views in Nature's Museum. Visit a coffee plantation to learn the history from the bean all the way to the cup. Plus, relax in a resort on the most beautiful beach of Guanacaste. This and so much more. Colette handles all the details, flights, meals, hotels, and local experiences. Your only job is to have the time of your life. Do not miss out. Meet me and the folks from Colette on Wednesday, March 18th at 6 p.m. at Park Tavern in St. Louis Park to learn more. Call Colette at 866-436-6734 or visit WCCOradio.com for details. Let's go to Costa Rica.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
The smartest way to spend your money is not to. Straight Talk offers free 5G phones for new and existing customers on Verizon's 5G network. So the refund money I don't spend on that free phone is the refund money I get to keep for my family. Smart.
Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Taxes and fees apply. Plan purchase required for free phone offers. Copyright 2026 Verizon.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
On the air at AM 830 and 1029 HD2, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Together with live streams via the Odyssey and iHeartRadio apps, this is News Talk 830 WCCO.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by JTV.com.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. In the U.S. Senate right now, lawmakers are voting on whether to rein in President Trump's war powers. CBS's Allison Keyes.
Idaho Republican Senator John Risch blasted Democrats for even thinking that President Trump doesn't have the power to unleash war in Iran.
This isn't new. This has happened 45 in the last 47 presidencies.
But Senate Minority CBS News, Washington.
The State Department has a line for stranded Americans to call.
If you are calling about the crisis in the Middle East, please press 1.
But many Americans, like this man in Saudi Arabia, have been frustrated.
The U.S. government has been absolutely disappointed in this situation. We were registered with the embassy before we even got here, and we knew about nothing happening until a missile was actually intercepted not far from where we were working.
The State Department's Tommy Pickett says charter flights and other options are being arranged.
We are proactively identifying as many options as we can.
But even charter flights are impacted by closed airports and airspace.
President Trump says the U.S. is making tremendous progress against Iran.
We're in very good shape now. I want to let you know that, and we will continue forward. But it's a great display of military strength.
Trump says Iran is a nation that was out of control and would have attacked the U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says more U.S. bombers are arriving in the Middle East as the U.S. and Israel intensify the war against Iran. CBS's Aaron Navarro.
At a Pentagon briefing Wednesday, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth
Walz, a Democrat, clashed over restarting payments to social services.
You didn't stop payments because you didn't want to rock the boat. And when fraud concerns were raised... Chairman.
The House Oversight Committee has voted to subpoena Attorney General Pam Bondi to testify as part of its ongoing Jeffrey Epstein investigation. CBS News has learned that it will be a closed-door deposition. This is CBS News.
Looking for spring jewelry looks? Find them at Jewelry Television. New customers get $20 off purchases of $99 or more at JTV.com.
Minnesota's trusted voice. Every hour, let's get you caught up with what's happening now on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Mostly cloudy, 47 degrees at 4:03. I'm Laura Oakes. As we just heard on CBS, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison testifying in Washington, D.C. today, where for hours they were grilled about the state's fraud problem. Minnesota Congressman and House Majority Whip Tom Emmer accusing Ellison of turning a blind eye to an issue that he says Ellison had been aware of for years.
Did you know, sir, about the long-running FBI investigation into feeding our future? Yes or no?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Emmer.
Reclaiming my time. When did you personally become aware of the FBI investigation? That's all I'm asking.
Representative Emmer, as you know, I have addressed this issue many times.
All right. Reclaiming my time.
Democrats on the Oversight Committee, meanwhile, issuing a report this afternoon saying Republicans have singled out Minnesota for political purposes while ignoring the same type of fraud in some Republican-led states. One person is dead, several others injured after a crash involving a Ramsey County deputy last night in St. Paul. State Patrol spokesman Mike Lee says St. Paul police officers spotted a stolen car near Metro State University in the Dayton's Bluff neighborhood. The driver took off. They eventually caught the man, but as other officers were on their way to help, a collision occurred.
A Ramsey County Sheriff's Squad car was westbound on 12th Street East with its emergency lights and sirens on when it collided with a Toyota RAV4 that was northbound on Robert Street in St. Paul.
The driver was pronounced dead at Regents Hospital. One of their passengers suffered serious injuries. A Hennepin County Sheriff's deputy on administrative leave after being accused of raping a woman early Sunday morning following a night of drinking.
According to a criminal complaint filed in Wright County, 33-year-old Jared Sprunk was charged with third and fifth-degree criminal sexual conduct. The Hennepin County Sheriff's Department released a statement which said the office supports a full and transparent investigation into the alleged off-duty conduct by this deputy.
WCCO's Susie Jones. State House DFL leaders proposing a new stack of policies to curb the rising cost of living.
Lawmakers say they're aiming to do that through reforms in health care, child care, and utility oversight. Representative Zach Stevenson.
We're going to fight for working people, the people who work hard and play by the rules and do everything they were told to do to succeed, but find that their paycheck doesn't meet the basics any longer, and the deck is stacked against them.
Some of the party's policy bids include banning grocery price gouging and capping utility rate hikes. Minnesota Republicans are also moving forward with proposals to lower the cost of living by capping property taxes, reducing vehicle tab fees, and eliminating state taxes on tips and overtime pay. Taylor Rivera, News Talk 830 WCCO.
In the Minnesota House Commerce Committee today, hearing two bills that would ban the practice known as surveillance pricing in the state. It's when companies use someone's personal data like browsing history, location, and shopping behavior to set prices specific to that shopper. Opponents say it often leads to higher prices for the same product based on the consumer's activity and personal attributes. WCCO News Time is 4:06.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
And brought to you by Linda's Construction, lindasconstruction.com, West 94, beyond Highway 61. Got a couple of vehicles off the left shoulder. Get ready for some slowing as make way past the scene. Not sure if this is a crash or just a stall with somebody helping out, but still be aware of it. North 35E, not too bad. Just come out of St. Paul with just minor slowdowns past University. Otherwise, clean shot to 694. Crosstown eastbound slows between Tracy and France Avenue. Get ready for the season ahead with clog-free Leaf Guard brand gutters now with free installation labor this March. Go to lindasconstruction.com. Trey Peterson, New Talk 830 WCCO.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
And with that, here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
The fog is going to form again overnight tonight as we've melted more snow and the wind will stay light. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, a high of 52. We still have that storm system coming on Friday. It looks like rain with a few rumbles of thunder possible. We should warm to 52. There will be snow coming through on the backside Saturday morning. Should amount to less than an inch of accumulation.
Mostly cloudy right now, 47 at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Stay smart, stay connected by staying tuned in. News Talk 830 WCCO. Good questions. Topics you'll probably talk about at dinner. Places to go for dinner. This is the Ride Home Reimagined. Welcome to Drive Time with DeRUSH. Now, here's Jason DeRUSH.
All right, let's get right to Washington, D.C. The big story here in Minnesota today has been our governor, Tim Walz, and the Attorney General, Keith Ellison, on Capitol Hill again, answering some questions, not answering other questions. These congressional oversight hearings are always so much showboating, trying to get your soundbite as a U.S. representative that you can use on social media to show how tough you are. As a Minnesotan who actually cares about figuring out better ways to address fraud on the front end, it leaves me very frustrated and annoying that this is what we're doing as a federal government when we really could be getting answers as to how this thing could have been prevented, how other states can learn from it. Congresswoman Betty McCollum is with us live from Washington, D.C. She's on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker Hotline because she was in the hearing room today. Congresswoman, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you.
What was your impression of what went on today?
A lot of showboating. You were absolutely correct. I mean, Governor Walz and A.G. Ellison have, numerous times spoken to members of the committee. They've testified in Congress before. And this was just more of the same. I think the governor brought up some good points, especially with the federal government cutting our Medicare, our Medicaid funding. That Minnesota is one of the outstanding states in working to prevent healthcare fraud, especially in that area. And I think he said we were in the top 5. I think I've got the number right, but we were at least in the top 10, if not in the top 5. And rather than ask, what have you done to improve that? What are other states should be looking at? It turned into one of the representatives who's running for governor in another state, Representative Mays, having these bizarre questions like asking the governor, does he know exactly how many children in the state of Minnesota suffer from autism? Nothing to the meat. But I have to say that I was very, very pleased at the Reverend from Hamlin University Church talking about the impact that our children are still suffering from the surge here in Minnesota with kids being afraid of being kidnapped and taken, and that came with a cost to the state of Minnesota, to our children, our youth, and we should be talking about what we can do to prevent something like that happening again in Minnesota or any other state in the country.
Tom Emmer, the congressman from Minnesota, really has laid into the governor and laid into the attorney general and these hearings before, and he did it again today. At the end, he suggested that, in his sort of closing remark, he suggested that if Governor Walz and Attorney General Ellison wouldn't answer the questions truthfully, that they should be put under oath in a deposition, suggesting they should be arrested. At least that's how I took it. How did you take that comment?
I was kind of surprised when Tom said that, quite frankly, because I think he was there when they were placed under oath to testify in front of the committee, so they would have been in contempt of Congress if they would have lied. If Tim didn't know the answer to, like I said, how many children have autism in the state of Minnesota, he would have been prepared for that, I know, if it was a hearing on autism, by saying, I can't answer that question. That in no way is anything that he needs to be put under deposition for. He answered questions truthfully, and people.
Well, it's just playing into this idea that they should be arrested, right? I've seen this from texters. I'm sure you've heard it from people as well. This idea that, could there have been more done to stop the fraud before it happened? I think yes. But does that rise to the level of these guys are criminals? I reject that. I haven't seen evidence of it. Have you?
No, absolutely not. And I thought it was an outrageous statement to make. Like I said, they already were under oath, and it would have been contempt of Congress. So, what's the next thing? They're going to call these our two leaders in to depose them. Are they going to call Steve Simon in next and say, hey, we think President Trump really won the election. Give us your voter files? I mean, where does this stop?
Betty McCollum, U.S. Congresswoman, with us from Washington, D.C. Are there questions you have that haven't been answered? Fraud related,
Yeah, fraud related. So we stood up these programs really fast during the time of COVID when people weren't going out and inspecting things, and there was fraud committed all over the United States. So we need to learn from this. Heaven forbid we ever have another disaster that would require us to do something like this, or another pandemic. But we need to be learning from this on how to make sure that we protect our economy during these times, and at the same time protect taxpayers' dollars. That's what I want to learn how to do, and I think Minnesota can give us some insight with having taken close to 100 of these people to trial in federal court and winning.
Well, that explains the Feeding Our Future, right? The rush to set up a program. But Tim O'Malley, who the governor appointed to be that director of program integrity, made the case that this goes way beyond just COVID era rush to get people money. This is more of a culture of government in Minnesota that was set up more to treat people as sort of as the deserving client, and then apply skepticism at, in some cases explicitly said it should be 80% deference and 20% skepticism. I think most people would say we got that backwards. We need more safeguards to our taxpayer dollars so the trust in the whole system doesn't fall apart.
Well, I don't disagree with that, and I think that's what the legislature's been working on, how to set up those blocks. But let me just tell you, if you want to talk about fraud, let's talk about Medicare and healthcare fraud in Texas and in California, which are costing Minnesota patients not having their doctors adequately paid the way the systems are in Florida and Texas. So I'm ready to talk about fraud, but we need to talk about fraud in all of its forms all over. Taxpayers deserve to have their dollars protected, whether it's health care programs like we set up in COVID, and just what's going on with even investing and making sure that price gouging and shrinkflation isn't taking advantage of consumers and what they're paying for in their hard-earned dollars when they go shopping. There's a lot of work to do. But let's do the work, and let's not just pick on one state with one incident that has admitted that they failed. I mean, Governor Walz didn't say, "Hey, we did a perfect job." He said, I feel let down. We let people down in Minnesota. We're learning from this. We're moving forward. We're not going to go backwards. We're not going to allow things like this to happen again. And that's what we should be working on, moving forwards together to save taxpayers' dollars and providing needed services to families when they need them.
U.S. Congresswoman Betty McCollum with us. So you're going to take a vote probably tomorrow on War Powers, the War Powers Act, right? I think the Senate is voting on this. Are they voting as we speak to authorize the President of the United States in the war that I would say has already been started against Iran? What is your plan? Will you vote yes for that?
I'm going to vote to uphold the Constitution, and the Constitution says the President does not start a war unless the United States is under an imminent threat. We were not under imminent threat. What we are now is we're going through our arsenal of weapons that we use to defend ourselves for a war that didn't need to happen. No one wanted the Ayatollah to continue to serve. No one wanted to see protesters being murdered in Iran. No one wanted to see almost 200 school children being bombed over the weekend too, and 6 coffins now that will be coming to Dover Air Force Base. No one wanted to see any of that. This was a war that was started by Tracy, the President of the United States. He failed to inform Congress. He has no plan. Every day, the reason why we go to war changes, and we have thousands of U.S. citizens and other citizens in Europe and Canada that are stranded in the Middle East because our State Department didn't have any plans. Oh, and they didn't let any of our allies know that their citizens might be in danger too in these countries. This was irresponsible, and I am a hard vote to protect our Constitution.
Do you, when you think about the practical ramifications of that, do you really think it makes practical sense with this already started to force the United States military to stop what they're doing in Iran?
Well, it wouldn't stop immediately. We'd have to. We would tell the president, we need to find an off ramp here. What's the plan for the off ramp? What's the plan? How are you going to declare success on this? And this needs to be our decision as Congress, because this war is going to cost a lot of money, a lot of treasure, and by treasure I mean American lives. And so this is, I was here. I voted to go to war in Afghanistan. Oh. A tragic day to say that you're going to put your servicemen and women's lives on the line to defend our country. We were attacked. I didn't vote to go to the war in Iraq because it was all a bunch of poppycock that they were making up. There was no imminent threat. Well, I'll give the Bush administration this much credit and the Congress. We debated it for 2 days. It went through all the committee hearings. We were able to ask the generals what their plans were. Now, they lied about the war. Many people I served with regret their vote. But I find it interesting that we didn't even get the opportunity that we had when the failed decision to go into Iraq happened. It just happened that, one morning the president decided today's the day we're going to attack Iran.
Yeah, I think it's preposterous that sort of we've given the power here to one person. And we've seen this in other administrations too. What I would say sort of an unconstitutional stretching of the ability to deploy the military. I think the executive has too much power. It's not just about Donald Trump. It's in general. I think the executive has taken too much power here.
Well, they've taken a lot of power of money and programs. I mean, the department, when DOGE went through and Elon Musk went through, they obliterated the State Department. They cut off programs. Maybe we shouldn't have been funding things in that way anymore. But you have a discussion. Congress decides. When we had the government shutdown, I serve on the Defense Committee. The Department of Defense is still the Department of Defense. It hasn't officially changed its name yet. And by the way, if they change their name, it's $1 billion price tag to American taxpayers to change everything over to the Department of War. But the Department of Defense was moving money around unconstitutionally, just the way the Trump administration did in small bites during their first shutdown when they were first in power. And they broke appropriations law. They broke the law, and we're going to hold them accountable for that, because if you don't start holding people accountable, and that's part of the vote tomorrow, then you've given them a green light to repeat the same bad behavior. And I'm not going to quietly allow this type of irresponsible behavior, whether it's people's taxpayers' dollars or taking our men and women to war.
U.S. Representative Betty McCollum from the Twin Cities, joining us from D.C. We appreciate the time today. Thanks, Congresswoman.
Yeah, see you back home. Bye-bye.
Betty McCollum with us on CCO. You're welcome to react at 651-461-9226. And I'll react, too. We'll do that when we come back.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRUSH on News Talk 830 WCCO.
It is close to spring, isn't it? You can feel it. You can feel it out there. You can feel it coming. It's Jason. When the winter comes to an end, new beginnings, new life, new options start coming your way. And if one of the things you've been waiting for or you've been struggling with is starting that new you, I want you to have a conversation with the team that helped me lose 45 pounds and keep that weight off for more than 3 years. It's Livia. Start today with Livia. Why not? Why not start today? You could lose 10 pounds or more by the time spring is here. How about that? Weight loss is a personal thing. I think we have this idea right now that you can click a link, get a prescription, and off you go. But if you want this to stick, your weight loss journey is not one size fits all. And at Livia, you get personalized one-on-one care. You can do it in clinic. You can do it over telehealth. I do a little of each. I've been at the clinic in Coon Rapids. There's one close to you. But now I check in using telehealth. It's awesome. How about a deal? Take $50 off GLP-1 medical weight loss. It's changing lives. We're seeing so many Minnesotans have success with the Livia team. Or start with that award-winning nutrition program at just $17 a week. Registered dietitians and nutritionists getting you over the finish line. And maybe you're at a phase of life where hormone replacement therapy should be part of the conversation. They have that too. It's all there for you. Let's do this. Livia.com or 855-GO-LIVIA today.
Question: what business couldn't use extra income? Hey, it's Tiki Barber. Right now, Amazon Hub Delivery is looking to partner with ambitious local businesses to become Amazon Hub partners. You and your staff will deliver packages to customers in your area when it's convenient for you. With each package delivered, your business gets paid. Get started at Amazon.com/Hub Delivery. That's Amazon.com/HUB Delivery.
Larry Older here. You know, one of the most rewarding parts of sharing Relief Factor with you is hearing real stories like that of Sandra. She tells us, I've been hearing about Relief Factor on the radio for a couple of years, and I finally decided to try it because nothing else was helping my back pain. I know the feeling. With a 3-week quick start, she said, I went for it. Now I feel like a new person. That's Sandra's own words, and it's so gratifying to hear. I've told you about my brother Kirk having difficulty going up and down the stairs in the morning. He wouldn't listen to me. I told him to take Relief Factor. He finally did. Began moving better, feeling stronger. Too bad he didn't listen earlier. Try it for yourself. The 3-week quick start. And see how Relief Factor could be your game changer too. It is only $19.95. Think about it. Do the math. Less than $1 a day. So call 800-4RELIEF. That's 800, the number 4RELIEF, or go to relieffactor.com, all one word, relieffactor.com. How will it feel to be out of pain? 800-4RELIEF, relieffactor.com.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRUSH.
This sounds like torture to me.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
I've been driving all night, my hands wet on the wheel.
All right, if you missed our conversation with Congresswoman Betty McCollum, you can find that wherever you get podcasts. A couple pieces of news in this conversation. She says she is going to vote. It's a little confusing because the resolution that they will be seeing in the House, she's going to vote yes to curtail the president's power. So she's essentially voting no on should the president be able to continue the war with Iran. I do 100% agree with her that this is a war. This is not a weekend attack. This is not a take out a drug running ship, sort of a law enforcement type thing, or even a let's go extract Maduro and bring him back. This is a multi-week war. A soldier from White Bear Lake, Minnesota, has already died in Kuwait. Congress should have been brought in before. Now, why wasn't Congress brought in? Because there was no imminent threat. Was there a threat? I think you could make a case. I'm not sad that we're sticking it to Iran. They've been a thorn in our side for more than 50 years. And like more than a thorn, like a killer and a absolutely horrifying regime which had the stated goal of death to America. So I do not feel bad that we've taken out that regime, and hopefully we have more a plan for what then. But I also think Congress should have been brought in. I will say I hate it when Democrats go to the well, we got a lot of fraud going on in other areas, and we got fraud going on with Medicaid fraud and Medicare and other states, and we got fraud. Yeah, we have problems everywhere. We're talking about fraud in our state. And I do not find it very compelling to say, well, we got a lot of fraud. Okay. What are we doing about it? I'm just not interested in that that does not make me feel better. That's like saying that when gas prices go up in the U.S., You say, well, at least it's not as bad as it is in Germany. Like, I don't care. I don't live there. What I care about is how do we make sure that Minnesota gets our act together when it comes to making nonprofits, if we're going to send money out to nonprofits, to third parties, whatever, how do we make sure that they're legit? And the other part of this, and I've been getting texts from people who have family members who are involved in legit nonprofits or legit businesses, that those things are all being shut down right now because of the federal pause on payments. So that's no good either. So I wish we could avoid the like, well, we got to, what about they're screwing it up in California too? All right. Yeah, they're different problems, though. They're different problems. Lots of texters defending the war against Iran. We should all feel bad that Iranian children are being murdered. I assume that's an anti-war text. Pro-war, Iran has killed more than 1,000 American soldiers. What more imminent do you need? Imminent is not they're bad guys. Like, there are bad regimes all over the world. The way things work in America is if we are attacked, we can attack back. If we are not, you need a more imminent threat than like, well, all the leaders are going to be there this weekend, so we could take them out. Now, texter saying the Gang of Eight was informed of the planned attack on Iran. Cute, great, nice. There should be an authorization. That's my view. We've done it before. We had it with Iraq. We had it with Afghanistan. We had it with George Bush. We had it with George W. Bush. We can do these things. So I think the reason you didn't see it is because, one, President Trump doesn't care about that kind of stuff. Two, I think there probably wasn't, they didn't have their answers straight. It's still changing as to what the justification for action this past weekend was. So that's sort of my view on that. Let's break. An amazing story when we come back. A Minnesota woman whose husband suddenly dies. He's on a treadmill. He dies. The day after his funeral, she finds out she's pregnant. Whoa. She's written a book, I'll say. And she's rebuilt a life, too. Flowers Bloom Anyway is the name of the memoir. We'll speak with the Minnesota author in just a minute here on CCO.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRUSH. Video streaming live on YouTube and always on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO. You probably came for the breaking news. The severe weather and winter storm reports, or maybe for Twins baseball. Can we convince you to stay for the conversations?
J.J. McCarthy, we don't need an all-season stud. We need a regular season star.
Listen longer.
Why should someone be optimistic that this legislative session will benefit them?
And hear the difference.
I've got a better shot of making the starting lineup of the Minnesota Twins than Donald Trump is going to send money to Minnesota.
News Talk 830 WCCO.
So many of us look around our house and say it is time to downsize. That's exactly what Susan and Kevin Borowick did. They join us now. I want to ask you about the process of working with the John Schuster Group, Coldwell Banker Realty, and your agent, Kieran Evanson.
Well, it was just extremely smooth. We sat down. He did a market analysis for us so we could really develop a good pricing strategy. He sent out a staging consultant who helped us get things ready for showing. We just couldn't be happier. We received an offer, actually more than one offer, quite a bit over our asking price.
That's part of the whole Schuster Group difference, is that their marketing programs really target the right buyers. Did you feel that when they were going through the process with you?
Absolutely.
If someone is on the fence about hiring the Schuster Group, what would you tell them?
They greatly exceeded our expectations, and I would say you just cannot go wrong working with the Schuster Group.
Contact John Schuster of the John Schuster Group, 952-222-9000, online, johnschustergroup.com. Terms and conditions may apply.
Get your home into the comfort zone with Metro.
Metro Plumbing and Drains is here to address all your plumbing and drain repair needs. We prioritize prompt, reliable service tailored to your unique situation. We approach each job with attention to detail and a commitment to lasting solutions. Metro Heating and Cooling of Maplewood.
Get your home into the comfort zone with Metro Heating and Cooling.
Visit callmetroplumbing.com.
Jefferson Lines is your #1 bus experience. With daily schedules to every corner of Minnesota to thousands of destinations across the country, it's the most convenient way to travel. Jefferson's luxury motor coaches offer free passenger Wi-Fi and individual charging outlets so you can stay connected. Book your travel today from Minneapolis to Duluth for as low as $36 and ride comfortably and confidently knowing you're traveling with Minnesota's best transportation company of 2025. Don't wait. Seats are going fast. Book online at jeffersonlines.com.
My husband's an animal in bed.
Well, you know.
Not in the fun way. Think warthog. With a chainsaw.
Snoring and sleep apnea affect over 90 million people, and 1 out of 4 couples sleep in separate rooms. Advent can help. We've been your one-stop solution for nasal congestion, snoring, and sleep apnea for over 20 years. Unlike many other practices, we focus exclusively on these conditions, so you get comprehensive care under one roof. Advent's unique approach can help you breathe and sleep better, and many avoid a CPAP. Plus, most insurance is accepted for our effective 20-minute in-office treatments.
Hey, the only animal you want in your bed is your dog.
Advent. Sleep better. Sleep together. Learn how you can improve your life at adventknows.com.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com. And get ready for the workday.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Things are slowing to Minneapolis, West 94, Riverside into the Lowry Hill Tunnel, 494 eastbound jammed up between the Bush Lake Roads and 35W crosstown eastbound. That's slow between Gleason and France Avenue. 35W northbound. Got your slowdowns there as we move past 694 up to Highway 10. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCL.
Get ready for patio season with By the Yard's preseason sale now through March 9th. By the Yard. Maintenance-free furniture lasts a lifetime with a 35-year warranty. Shop BuyTheYard.net or visit a showroom near you. By the Yard. Life is better outdoors.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Forecast brought to you by the Yard. Here is Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Expect another foggy start tomorrow morning as we fall back to 35 tonight. The wind will be light once again. We'll see some sunshine by afternoon with a high of 52. The active day is Friday. That's when the rain showers will roll through. We might hear a rumble of thunder or two. 52 the afternoon high. Expect snow in northern Minnesota on the backside of the storm system. That will swing through here in the metro even, but less than an inch expected. We do warm up near 60 on Sunday and Monday.
In downtown Minneapolis, it is 49 degrees. Little cloudy, but my goodness, the fog has burned off. That was nuts this morning on CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRUSH on News Talk 830 WCCO.
There are times when someone's life story is so compelling where those of us who have had sort of a boring life, an ordinary life, if you will, like I think my life is pretty uneventful. I come here, I talk to you guys. That's it. You hear about somebody who lives right here in Minnesota, who had so much coming at her. You think, like, I just can't wait to meet you and learn more about you. Our guest is Dr. Liz Fidler Morgan, who, and it's impossible to simplify someone's life to one statement, but when you say Liz's husband died running on a treadmill in 2020 and she found out she was pregnant the day after his funeral, if that doesn't stop you in your tracks, I don't know what will. Liz, it's good to meet you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
That is one of those statements that, as an outsider, you're like, I don't even know what to say. I can't even get my arms around it. And then you were living through it.
Yes, and that was 2020, so about a little over 5 years ago. I mean, there was a time when I could count the days and tell you, it was 1,000, da-da-da-da-da. I don't count the days anymore since it happened, which I think tells you, where I'm at in my journey of grief. But yeah,
And you never get over something like that. You just figure out how to move forward, or how do you even characterize that?
I think that for sure my life will always be a before and after, but it definitely, time does not heal. It definitely takes intention to heal, and as you work through something, but I would say that it gives you a bit of a rear view mirror, time to kind of pause and realize that, I wish there was some, breaking point mantra, and there maybe sort of was in my grief journey as I was, really in the depths of it, but it definitely, it's something that's softened over time, but you just always carry it with you.
You wrote a book. It is available now, called Flowers Bloom Anyway. What made you say, all right, this is a story I need to tell, or a journey that someone might be helped by?
Yeah, I will say that I never really set out to write this book, but after you're told by hundreds and hundreds of people over and over again, okay, it's time. I started out by journaling, and if I'm being honest, the first 6 months, I decided I had about 20,000 words, and I decided I was going to publish it, and I was going to call it Stuff Not to Say When Someone's Husband Died, except for it wasn't stuff, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on the radio.
Not
so
on
it was
WCCO.
stuff. So it was stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff not to say.
Right.
And I paused, put the journaling away for a little bit, and then every few months I came back to it. And then probably a year and a half later, I went back and I read what I had written, and there were things like, I was so mad at my dad for not filling my water softener salt tank when I didn't even ask him to do it, but he didn't read my mind and do that for me, right? But there's so many examples of that. And there were some things that people said that were hurtful, or, but I really started focusing on intention. And so then I tried to pivot the book, and I thought, okay, it's an interesting story, but I don't know how I'm ever supposed to, do I want to do that? How do I do this?
It's kind of weird, right?
Like, yeah, it's weird. Like, what do I?
This is like,
it's my husband's.
Death.
It's his death,
Yeah.
and that's what it felt like the story was about, because people kept saying, well, it's this magnificent story. It's this huge thing, and now you built this flower farm on his family farm, and there's this whole thing. But I don't want to write about the most traumatic years of my life for trauma's sake, for what, entertainment purposes.
Right. Are you trying
That's
to make
weird. That's weird, right? And so then I realized, okay, how do I turn this into self-help? How do I pivot? And I came to realize that anger is a normal stage of grief, but I became an angry person. I would say around 6 months, when I was 7 months pregnant, my friends, and I so appreciate it, my sisters, they kind of set me aside, and they're like, Liz, we're giving you all the grace that we can, but you're just mad all the time, and how do you want to work through this? And so I tried to kind of tie the lessons that I learned and try to also sort of teach other people about grief.
All right, let's go back to the beginning, because I have done a terrible job of setting this up. So you are living in where?
So I live on
Let's go back to 2020.
Yeah. So I live on my late husband's family farm. It had been in his family since 1888. we had bought it. I kind of describe a farm as there's either a noun or a verb, a place you live or a business, right? We bought it as a place to live. So we were the 5th generation in a row to own that same property, to buy it from the previous. But I was working full-time as a nurse practitioner, which is where the doctorate comes in. And he had a career in lending. And we never thought we would farm or make a living off of that, because how do you do that with a small amount of acres? And all we knew was bigger crops. And so it was never our plan to turn this into any sort of business, but we had started a little farm stand at the end of our driveway, and it really is as wholesome as it sounds. I had flowers at the end of the driveway. I said, buy one, give one. If you buy a bouquet, we'll donate a second one to a nursing home. And that was what we did during COVID. And we sold everything that we grew. It was just this little garden that I had. And then when he passed away in December.
You had already one child?
Yep, we had it was 2 days after her 3rd birthday.
So she just turned 3.
Yep, she turned 3.
And then your husband, whose name?
Josh.
So Josh is just running on the treadmill.
Yep, running on the treadmill.
At your house?
Yep, on his lunch break. And I was at work at the clinic.
He was
39.
You were 31.
6 days a week. Yep, just healthy runner. And
in an instant.
Yep, they said that it was a arrhythmia. So skipped a beat, not a blockage, but just 1 in a million
Fluke.
chance. Yep, fluke. And I'll just throw this out there. There were no vaccines or anything. If people like to
start.
Yep, before you start coming
Right.
at me with that, there were no vaccines or anything. It just in a weird, comforting way, I choose to try to look at it as it was just his time. I'm not happy about that, but that's how I've chosen to look at it. Is I guess it's not a terrible way to go, but it still sucks in many, many ways.
Yeah. Dr. Liz Fidler Morgan is with us. Her book is called Flowers Bloom Anyway, which, of course, is a literal reference to what was going on in this farm, but also the choice you had to make to, well, I don't know how much of it was a choice. So then you find out you're pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like, how much detail I want to go into that, but, like, did you have a sense at the funeral? Aren't you feeling like, oh, my stomach is queasy because I'm at my husband's funeral? What made you think, like, I better take a pregnancy test?
Well, we were doing fertility treatments.
Oh, you were? Okay.
We were. And the last thing that I had texted him was saying, I shouldn't say this. It's too soon, but I think I'm pregnant. And his response was, oh my gosh, we'll find out when. And he was all excited and all these exclamation points. And then I did not hear from him again.
Oh, oof. And you're so young. And you've got now one child and a child on the way. Well, no wonder you were pissed off all the time.
Yeah, now you see why I was so angry.
Yes. What did your friends expect?
Not many people willingly sign up to be, typically most people choose to parent with 2 people. It's usually a team
Right.
sport, right? If you're choosing. And I was suddenly doing it on my own.
You then had to decide, well, you had a lot of decisions to make, right? When you look back on that, are there things that you chose or approaches that you took where you're like, you know what, I'm really proud of how I dealt with this?
So one thing that I like to share is that even though you can pretend like you had certain choices, there were a lot of things I didn't have a choice, right? Like you just, people, you were so strong. And what choice did I have?
Yeah.
But his family farm, his friends and acquaintances, they're like, whatever you need to do, if you need to do it, or if you need to sell and move back, toward your family. But they kept repeatedly saying his best friends did. They're like, you're going to have to stay here forever, right? You know that, right? And just like raise your daughters here. And if after a while it doesn't work out, but he would want you to continue living here if possible. And so I realized that there might be things that he'd be upset about, but at the same time, I needed to make this a place that I didn't feel trapped in. And that's how I continued to grow the flower farm and continued to grow the business. And now this last year, we've actually built an event venue on the farm. St. Joe is a thriving, amazing community, and they all really rallied behind it. And it's turned into something that I never expected, but life just kind of took that huge pivot.
You have now a 5 or 6 year old and an 8-year-old?
She's 4.5.
4.5.
Yep. And then an 8-year-old. Yep.
And you have remarried, right?
I have remarried to Brent Mergen. He's great, fantastic, the most patient man in the world.
Well, yeah, like you have, when we were talking before, you said both my husbands.
Yep.
Which is part of that life, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we actually, about a month ago, I was interviewed for a blog on Shondaland, the creator of Bridgerton and Grey's Anatomy. And so they were looking for unique love stories. And so one of my friends sent in my love story with Brent. And it was really cool because a lot of times, I talk about Josh and I do a lot of speaking now and grief and, different stories there. And the farm is his family farm, but getting that opportunity to tell Brent's side of the story. And the interviewer asked him, she said, "Do you ever get jealous?" And I appreciated her asking that because I think it's something that people do wonder. And, he kind of answered it like, well, when we go to the cemetery, I guess I don't wish I could trade places with him if that's what you're asking. And I know this sounds really morbid, but it's so true. And for us, it's, if there was an inkling of that underlying, this wouldn't work, but it does. And he has such a respect and yeah.
Oh, it's so interesting. It's so interesting. And it is, this journey, obviously it's uncommon. That is part of the interest, I think, but it's not rare. Does that make sense? Like, it's not unheard of. It happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you in your journey of speaking and telling your story have heard from other women, especially in similar. I'm sure there are guys in similar situation too.
It's a lot more common than you think to be widowed young or have something like this happen. And that is kind of why I don't want to say I felt the need. No one made me do this. No one made me write this book. But it's why I felt compelled to share it because the whole time and even still now, I feel like I'm doing things wrong because there is no right or wrong way. And I am no more qualified to tell someone how to grieve or how to go through things. But I feel like if you can see that other side of the story and say, okay, here's the choice I had to make of this, why I made it, hopefully it helps you either A, make a decision yourself, or B, not judge someone that's making that decision.
Going through it. Yeah. Still the stuff you shouldn't say when someone's husband. I feel like that would be useful. Maybe that's a follow-up.
Yeah.
Though.
Well, it's still
in there.
It's in there,
Some
but
of that's
I
in
tried to show the scar, not the wound.
I like that. I like it. We know a fair number of people in common, and you do have a quote from my friend.
I do.
John Sharkman.
Yes, I do.
Who has been on this show
I do.
before.
Yeah.
But he's quoted in the book.
He is. We were in Toronto, Canada. My husband plays Australian football for the Minnesota Freeze, as one does,
Sure,
I guess.
yeah.
And so we were in Canada, and I happened to text Sharkman, and he's like, actually, I am home, which he's never home. And so we went out for the afternoon and explored Toronto, and he said that about how he wants to lift trophies with his friends. And it just made me realize, toward the end of the book, there's no ending to it. It's still ongoing, but I talk about my husband's obituary, and I talk about how we are the ones who write our own obituary. We are the ones who choose what our life looks like, what it's going to be written about us. And that was something that stuck with me is I just want to have fun and celebrate with my friends too.
The book is called Flowers Bloom Anyway, a memoir by Dr. Liz Fidler Morgan. You can find it everywhere you find books. Liz, this was delightful. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Really, really can't wait to read the book. Drive Time back in a minute here on CCO.
Drive Time with DeRUSH on News Talk 830 WCCO.
All right, it's Jason here with a personal story about Tureen Dermatology. So I talk about Dr. Mohiba Tureen. She is my dermatologist. She takes care of my family and my in-laws and so many CCO listeners. So last night I go home and Alyssa, my wife, is like, you got to Uber to work tomorrow because I have an appointment with Dr. Tureen. And I'm like, well, what happened? She's like, I've got a little mark on my face and it wasn't there before. And so Alyssa just called Tureen Dermatology, just like you could. She just picked up the phone and called over there, and she got an appointment the next day. I mean, this is, if you've ever tried to make an appointment with a dermatologist, you know how difficult it is to get in, and sometimes it can take months. Terrene Dermatology got to listen today. They will get you in, guarantee within 3 weeks, maybe earlier. There are 10 locations all over the Twin Cities. You can call 651-633-6883. You can request an appointment online as well. If you have a mark or a mole that looks unusual, don't wait. Go to TerreneDermatology.com.
That's the sound of James adding long-lasting Gain scent boosters to his laundry this morning. Several hours later, James sniffs the irresistible scent of Gain on his shirt. Gain. Several hours later, James has even caught the attention of his mother-in-law, and she never gives him attention.
Ooh, you smell amazing, James.
Oh, thanks, Mom. I love you too.
I never said that.
Add Gain scent boosters to your laundry. Add joy to your day.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, Twins fans, it's time for spring training at Fort Myers. Cheer on your favorite team at Hammond Stadium within the Lee Health Sports Complex. Then explore our islands, beaches, and neighborhoods between games. Sink your toes into white sand. Discover lush nature preserves filled with wildlife. And dine on fresh Gulf seafood. Turning your love for baseball into a relaxing vacation just feels right. Start planning at visitfortmyers.com.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Possible crash West 94 near Huron Boulevard. Traffic is slow between there and the Lowry Hill Tunnel. Going to find some slowing on 694 eastbound, Silver Lake Road to Highway 10 westbound. Not too bad of a drive from 35W all the way up into Anoka. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
A dry winter can cause cracked, itchy skin and sore throats. Getting a whole home humidifier from Metro Heating and Cooling can help you get in the comfort zone on price and performance. Visit metroheating.com.
Metro Heating and Cooling.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Forecast brought to you by Metro Heating and Cooling. Tonight, mostly cloudy, areas of fog, low of 35. Tomorrow, 52. Friday, 52. Rain and possible thunder. Might get snow Friday night. More snow expected up north. Right now, it is 48 on CC.
Drive time with DeRUSH.
Please call into the Jason DeRUSH show.
Let's go.
If you have something to say to the people of Minnesota, say it on the radio.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
So we talked with Betty McCollum, U.S. Congresswoman, about the vote that will be coming up in the U.S. House, but Senate Republicans voted down. There are going to be a bunch of these votes in Congress about the war in Iran. Senate Republicans voted down an effort to stop the war. So this is a war powers resolution. It was mostly a party line vote, although John Fetterman, the Democrat from Pennsylvania, voted no, which meant he was voting for. I don't know. Do people care about? It's so confusing. Fetterman said war, yes. Rand Paul said war, no. Republican Rand Paul. So those, otherwise it was party lines. So it failed, 47 to 53. So you're going to see a lot of this from Congress. Is it going to matter? You know, I do think congressional approval should matter on this stuff. But the U.S. is not going to stop, and it is going to take Congress. I mean, there's no chance. Republicans in the Senate are not going to let the war stop. But I do think, from a policy standpoint, I just think this is the wrong way to do it. You should get authorization. There should be congressional authorization for something like this. Podcast us. That last interview Whoa. Can't wait to read the book, Flowers Bloom Anyway. And if you missed the interview, you can find the audio podcast everywhere, Spotify, Odyssey app, Apple Podcast. And video always available for you, too. Every morning we cut up some of the most entertaining segments of our show at YouTube. Just search WCCO Radio.
Hey, it's Adam Carter here, inviting you to join me November 30th to explore tropical Costa Rica with Colette. We'll stay in the Monteverde Cloud Forest, a place you have to see to believe, where trees grow to heights of 100 feet and the wildlife is abundant from butterflies to sloths. Enjoy breathtaking views in Nature's Museum. Visit a coffee plantation to learn the history from the bean all the way to the cup. Plus, relax in a resort on the most beautiful beach of Guanacaste. This and so much more. Colette handles all the details, flights, meals, hotels, and local experiences. Your only job is to have the time of your life. Do not miss out. Meet me and the folks from Colette on Wednesday, March 18th at 6 p.m. at Park Tavern in St. Louis Park to learn more. Call Colette at 866-436-6734 or visit WCCOradio.com for details. Let's go to Costa Rica.
Carpal tunnel syndrome, heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of Amvuttra. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at amvuttra.com. Ask your doctor about Amvuttra for ATTR-CM.
Proud to be the voice of the Twin Cities, Minnesota, and the Upper Midwest. This is News Talk 830 WCCO, 1029 HD2, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. President Trump can continue striking Iran. A war powers resolution, which would have slapped limits on the U.S. military campaign, has failed in the Senate. Senator Chris Coons, a Democrat from Delaware, supported the measure.
To send a clear message that taking America to war in Iran was done by President Trump without meaningfully consulting the American people or Congress.
Republican Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana.
Our founders designated the president to be commander-in-chief. I think they left it intentionally vague.
The House will vote on a similar resolution tomorrow. In a defeat for the Trump administration, a federal judge in New York has ruled the companies that paid tariffs struck down last month by the Supreme Court are due refunds. President Trump says the U.S. attack against Iran has been both necessary and successful, CBS's Linda Kenyon reports.
President Trump is proud of the operation.
We're doing very well on the war front.
Speaking at the top of a roundtable discussion on power generation for AI data centers, the president put it this way.
On a scale of 10, where would you rate it? I said about a 15.
Trump said he has no doubt the U.S. attack against Iran was fully justified.
If we didn't hit within 2 weeks, they would have had a nuclear weapon. If we didn't do the B-2 attack a number of months ago, they would have a nuclear weapon.
Adding, in his words, when crazy people have nuclear weapons, bad things happen. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
Global air travel remains severely disrupted due to the war with Iran, which forced the closure of key Middle Eastern hubs. The first commercial flight from Dubai to Hong Kong since the outbreak of the conflict landed today, much to the relief of this man.
I must say, for the first time, it was very scary, especially like the first night. Of course, we were very stressful, but luckily I had my family with me.
He led the Fighting Irish to the 1988 National Championship, and today Notre Dame University has announced that Lou Holtz has died at the age of 89. Holtz told those at the 2020 Medal of Freedom ceremony at the White House.
You've honored a lot of people. You go look at all the people, and Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus. They recognized for what they did. I'm recognized for what other people did. I never made a block or tackle.
Holtz died in Orlando, Florida, surrounded by his family. There's another massive power outage in Cuba.
A news anchor announced the outage was caused by a thermoelectric power plant. Much of the country was impacted, including Havana. Millions were left without power. Cuba's been experiencing major blackouts for years now, even before the Trump administration cut off oil shipments from Venezuela.
That's CBS's Cammie McCormick reporting. This is CBS News.
What is going on?
What's going on here? How is this possible?
Great storytelling starts here.
Oh, come on.
Why? It's time for 60.
Minnesota's trusted voice. Every hour. Let's get you caught up with what's happening now on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Cloudy, 46 degrees at 5:03. I'm Laura Oakes. The Minnesota State Patrol is investigating a fatal crash in St. Paul involving a stolen vehicle and a Ramsey County deputy.
St. Paul police spotted a stolen vehicle near 7th and Mariah around 10:45 Tuesday night. As officers tried to stop that vehicle, he took off onto Interstate 94. The 27-year-old driver of that stolen vehicle was arrested a short time later, but as other officers responded to help with the incident, a Ramsey County deputy with lights and sirens on collided with a vehicle near Robert Street and 12th. State Patrol spokesperson Mike Lee.
It's tragic in any fatality, and we understand this is an open case still, and we're looking into it. We are the primary investigating agency on this one.
The 51-year-old St. Paul man who died in that crash has been identified as Tha Wa. Susie Jones, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Minnesota Congressman Tom Emmer wasting no time going after Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison at today's House Oversight Committee hearing about alleged misuse of federal funds intended for social services and Medicaid programs in Minnesota.
We are left with two questions. One, what did Governor Walz and Keith Ellison know about the fraud? And two, when did they actually know it? I would suggest that if they do not give direct and truthful answers to both these questions at this hearing, then they both need to be put under oath in a deposition.
Governor Walz telling the committee Operation Metro Surge negatively impacted ongoing fraud investigations in the state and that the turmoil inside the local U.S. Attorney's Office isn't helping.
If we partner together in this, our chance of defeating this fraud is that much higher. But right now, it's stymied. There's no investigators over there. There's no U.S. attorneys. The FBI has been decimated, and it's very difficult.
Democrats on the Oversight Committee issuing a report this afternoon saying Republicans have singled out Minnesota for political purposes while ignoring the same type of fraud in some Republican-led states. At the state capitol, DFL lawmakers outlining their affordability agenda, which they say includes helping people buy homes. Representative Esther Abaje says they want to prohibit corporations from buying single-family homes as it creates higher prices for the general public.
Homes are not a commodity for corporations on their spreadsheet. Homes should be where you are able to rest, recharge, and perhaps build some of your own wealth.
A Hennepin County Sheriff's deputy on administrative leave after being charged with rape. A criminal complaint filed in Wright County alleges 33-year-old Jared Sprunk sexually assaulted a woman early Sunday morning following a night of drinking. The sheriff's office supporting a full and transparent investigation. And as we heard on CBS, former University of Minnesota head football coach Lou Holtz has passed away at the age of 89. He led the Gophers for 2 seasons in 1984 and 85 and is, of course, known for his long tenure at Notre Dame, leading that school to win the 1988 national championship. WCCO News Time is 5:06.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
And being brought to you by Linda's Construction, lindasconstruction.com. East 94 at Franklin Avenue, crash in the left center lane, now being cleared out of the way for you, but it is jammed up as we make way through downtown Minneapolis, trying to make way out toward Highway 280. Shouting 35E northbound slows through downtown St. Paul up to Maryland Avenue. 694, get ready for your slowdowns, westbound run Matterhorn to 252. Protect your home before spring storms arrive. Choose GAF asphalt shingles and receive free installation labor this March. Go to lindasconstruction.com. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters presents Guys and Dolls, a high-rolling musical spectacle packed with iconic songs and dazzling dance numbers. Don't miss this Tony Award-winning Best Musical, Guys and Dolls. Tickets at chanhassendt.com.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Brought to you by the Chanhassen Dinner Theaters, always entertaining you. Here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
The fog is going to form again overnight tonight as we've melted more snow and the wind will stay light. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, a high of 52. We still have that storm system coming on Friday. It looks like rain with a few rumbles of thunder possible. We should warm to 52. There will be snow coming through on the backside Saturday morning. Should amount to less than an inch of accumulation.
Cloudy right now, 46 at News Talk 830 WCCO.
News that leads to conversations. Conversations that matter. News Talk 830 WCCO. He knows news. He knows talk. He knows nonsense, too. So get ready for a lot of each. This is Drive Time with DeRUSH. Once again, here's Jason DeRUSH.
Possible thunder. I mean, March is not disappointing, is it? Welcome to Drive Time. Hour 3, it's Jason, Dan, Laura keeping you up to date on the news. Weather has just been bizarro world for sure.
Now shut up and drive.
I did not care for the fog this morning. I didn't. Too foggy. Too Halloween-ish. You know what I mean? Alyssa wakes up at 6:30 this morning. Today is her day to work out. And, first of all, rude, right? Be quieter. 2, don't make me feel guilty. You're going down. Oh, you're going to work out. And I would call it show prep. Some would say doom scrolling. Your mileage may vary. But she's like, man, you got to see the fog. And that is just, when your wife tells you at 6:30, 6:45 in the morning that you've got to see the fog, are you getting out of bed to see the fog? Or are you just like, I'll check when I get up? And sure enough, it looked like fog. You kind of get the idea, right? You look out the window and you can't see anything. It's not ideal. Let's get you up to date. Another day, another congressional hearing, and still no real answers. Is that because the questions were lame? Is that because the people being questioned don't really have answers? Let's talk about it in the DeRUSH Hour News headline.
The headlines you might have missed without missing a beat. This is your fast pass through the biggest and most impactful stories of the day. Welcome to the DeRUSH Hour headlines, starting with the lead.
And the lead story is the governor and the attorney general of Minnesota in front of Congress. Republicans asking about fraud. Well, one Republican asking if the governor has figured out what the definition of a woman is from the... these things are... It's always something, isn't it? As a Minnesotan, I just would like to know, what are we doing to make sure that this doesn't continue happening time and time again in Minnesota, that people take advantage of the fact that we are paying taxes in this state. We are trying to help people who need the lift up, who need the help. And how do I have any confidence that the money that I'm giving the state is going to go to people who need it? Do we get answers to that question? Do they even ask that question? No, everybody just wants their trophy. Oh, we got him. I made the attorney general say something dumb. And so we got Tom Emmer asking questions about a meeting that has been covered and covered and covered. This meeting, this very ill-advised meeting that Attorney General Keith Ellison had with a number of people who ended up to be involved in feeding our future. The meeting was bad. The meeting was poor judgment to meet, because when you're the Attorney General of Minnesota, when you take a meeting with someone, it does reflect on you, and you do have to own up. Sometimes I just think simpler answers would be better. Attorney General Keith Ellison, did you know that the FBI was investigating when you took that meeting with people who turned out to be under investigation? I believe the Attorney General has answered that with a no. Do you regret taking the meeting? If I were him, I would regret taking the meeting. Here is what the governor had to say at the start. This was part of his opening statement.
Although Minnesota's programs have overwhelmingly achieved their intended purposes, they're not immune from fraud. I'll be the first to acknowledge that. But let me be clear. In Minnesota, if you defraud public programs, if you steal taxpayer money, we'll find you, we'll prosecute you, we'll convict you, and we'll throw you in jail.
And I do think the U.S. Attorney's Office especially, but yes, we have found fraud after it happened. When are we going to get to the, how do we stop it? Because finding it after it happens is okay, but preventing it, I think, would go a long way to making people like me feel more confidence in our government. Now, I did talk to a U.S. Representative, Betty McCollum, from the Twin Cities, who was in the hearing room and looked a little irritated when Congressman Tom Emmer suggested that if Tim Walz and Keith Ellison lied, that maybe they should be deposed, sort of saying that they should be under arrest. Here's some of my conversation from last hour with Betty McCollum.
A lot of showboating. You were absolutely correct. I mean, Governor Walz and A.G. Ellison have, numerous times spoken to members of the committee. They've testified in Congress before, and this was just more of the same.
Yeah, it really was more of the same. This is about, this is why so many Democrats were asking about the ICE surge in Minnesota. The federal government has an interest in this, but because it is federal dollars, most of the money that was stolen by criminals was federal money. Let's turn to the war in Iran. There have been votes this afternoon. The Senate did not take the opportunity to rein in the President of the United States' war with Iran. Betty McCollum said she will vote to rein that in when that comes up in front of the House. At the same time, we are learning more about a White Bear Lake woman who was killed in Kuwait. You've heard this in our news. Sergeant First Class Nicole Amor, 39 years old, married, had 2 children. Her husband, Joey, posted on social media a statement where he said, "I share the hardest news of my life. Nicole was a rare and special light in this world. She had a way of being everyone's mother and best friend at the same time. Strong, loving, real, loved so greatly by so many people, and she loved each and every one of you right back." Nicole was an amazing soldier, her husband writes, but more than that, she was an amazing wife, mother, and friend. The world is dimmer without her light in it. I think it is one of those things where you think she was near the end of her time serving. She was near the moment where she would get to come back here to Minnesota. She loved gardening. This is the human cost of war. And while Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War, says that the media is focusing on the deaths in order to embarrass President Trump, I would point out the opposite, that we focus on those who gave everything as a reminder to the fact that the people who are signing up to serve our country have far more courage than most of us do. They are doing more, they are doing everything, and they are giving, in some cases, everything because they love this country. And we memorialize them. My God, if we didn't, embarrassing the president, come on. We memorialize Nicole because what she was doing is the best of all of us. And, man, her kids and her husband and her friends and her family, I'm thinking about you and praying for you, and we are so grateful and so sorry. So sorry. One more item before we go in depth with some very good news for Minnesota. Another little piece of good news for Minnesota in the downtown area. You maybe have seen a jazz show at the Dakota. I hope you have. Oh, yeah. The Dakota is a true gem right on Nicollet Mall. Well, today they announced that they are expanding, adding an event space in the Young Quinlan building, which is such a cool building. Used to be the home of J.B. Hudson, right across the street. And so 10th and Nicollet is where the club is. And 9th and Nicollet is the former J.B. Hudson. It's like 10,000 square feet, just absolutely gorgeous. And that is going to be their event space. So pretty cool. So if you wanted to book a private show, an event, maybe a smaller show that wouldn't fit in the Dakota, now you can go right across the street. Pretty cool. That is the DeRUSH Hour News headlines. The lead in depth is coming your way in just a minute. You've heard a lot about how Minnesota's losing Fortune 500 businesses. Are we the home of innovation that we want to be? Where's the next good news of a company coming here, and why would anyone even come here? A big ag tech company is moving here from the Bay Area in California. Why is Pivot Bio moving their headquarters here? We'll talk to the CEO next.
This is Drive Time with Dussia on News Talk 830 WCCO.
We're talking construction law today with Blake Nelson, an attorney from Helmuth & Johnson. Blake, why is having the right legal support so important?
One delay, one payment issue, or one contract mistake can put an entire project at risk and be the difference between making and losing money. In Minnesota, contract terms, timing, and documentation matter.
How does Helmuth & Johnson help?
We help contractors, subcontractors, and property owners protect their rights, get paid, and keep projects moving.
Learn more at hjlawfirm.com. Helmuth & Johnson, on your side, at your side, for all your construction law needs.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
Spreadsheets, clunky software, 100 different logins just to run your business? Ah.
There's a better way. Odoo. One simple, connected platform that handles sales, inventory, accounting, and more. So you can focus on growing, not juggling. Make the switch today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce, spruce, spruce.
It's Spruce, the weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people, pets, and bees when used as directed. Spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour, and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Spruce, pet friendly, weed deadly. Find wherever weed killers are sold.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
Your daily detour into sharper conversation. Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
DeRUSH Hour News headlines going in depth today with a win for the Twin Cities and hopefully a win for a relatively new ag tech company that is really chosen to have a headquarters in the Twin Cities. I wanted to talk with CEO Chris Abbott from Pivot Bio. He's with us on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker Hotline because, Chris, I think this metro area has felt like, all right, it's been challenging. The political situation has been challenging. It's been emotionally challenging. The economic situation. And to have a company like yours say, no, I want to be in Minnesota, I think is worth exploring. So thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Jason. We are super excited.
You were founded in out on the West Coast, right? Pivot in 2011?
That's right. About 15 years old, founded in the Bay Area. And most recently, the move will be taking us from Berkeley to the Twin Cities.
I think there are a lot of, we're sort of modest in the Midwest. We don't like to brag. And sometimes I think people here like to beat up on ourselves more than claim the win. So why did you could have gone anywhere. You decided in 2025 you're going to move closer to the Midwest. Why did you pick here?
Yeah, it's actually exactly as you just described, right? We don't need the hot air. We want the humility. We want folks and partners in a climate which are focused on building businesses. It's a great place to live. I grew up here. And so we looked everywhere, right? We looked at cities in the Midwest. We obviously evaluated California and, Northern California. We even looked at the East Coast, places like Raleigh-Durham and other places where there's big life science and agriculture, sort of hotbeds, little pockets. And ultimately we choose Minnesota as our place because we've got, as I would sort of say, like the perfect combination, right? We've got strategic partners. We've got our customers, so we can drive from our offices here in the Carlson Towers. In half hour, I could be on a cornfield of one of my customers. So to be that close to a customer does tremendous things for our team, how we serve our customers, and how we continue to advance innovation. So that's a no-brainer. But you know what? We've got capital providers here. We've got access to talent with the university system. And as I mentioned, some of our largest strategic partners, other large food and ag companies are here. So for all those reasons, it was an absolute no-brainer. You did allude to in the beginning of the question around some of the challenges our state has seen. I would flip it the other way. It's amazing through those challenges what we've seen where Minnesota has become really one state rather than sort of polarizing perspectives on these issues. And so that in itself is also a strength. And actually, I think part of the reason it's getting easier and easier to attract talent here, and we want to play a role in that.
Pivot Bio is the name of the company. We're talking with the CEO, Chris Abbott, who is here in the Twin Cities right now. Your firm is valued at about $2 billion. You've got 250 employees. One of the things I find fascinating about the sector that you're in is that I see this as a huge opportunity for our area, right? We don't need to be manufacturing cars necessarily in Minnesota. But if you can have every innovator when it comes to agriculture, when it comes to fertilizer, different technology, man, like this could be a very powerful job generating, revenue generating for the state, a sector of the economy to have, like for us to own that in Minnesota.
Yeah. You're hitting on two things. Number one, businesses like ours serve a whole array of talent. Right. We have folks out in rural America, dozens of folks serving our growers, serving our distribution partners. That continues to drive growth of rural communities. We attract people with PhDs, world-class microbiologists, ecologists, chemists, because they work on the biologic solutions that we have. And then we have folks that join us from non-specialty areas, meaning they might join us from Fortune 500 companies here in town that say, I want to be a part of, as you're alluding to, the future of this industry. I care about agriculture, or I care about sustainability, and maybe I'm a finance person or I'm an HR person. They say, that's the mission I want to be a part of. And so we get to attract fantastic talent in that way. And so it really runs the gamut. It's not just scientists. Frankly, I'm not a scientist. But what draws people to Pivot typically is mission-driven around helping farmers, helping the environment, or they just have deep roots and interest in agriculture. And so people, as I say, come to us for different reasons, but very much mission-driven. And I think that allows us to attract talent, not just here, but from talent outside of Minnesota.
And your product is sort of a gene-edited microbe that helps plants create nitrogen. So better for the environment, cheaper than synthetic fertilizer, lots of good about it. So you can see why people want to be a part of it. When you're weighing where you're going to locate, taxes, we talk a lot about taxes. Politicians always talk about taxes, the cost of doing business in Minnesota. Does access to talent or access to your market, does that kind of outweigh those business cost type questions?
Yeah, I think, look, you can't look at these things in a vacuum. So certainly access to partners, access to customers, access to talent, those things are all important. We get asked the question around taxes all the time. To be fair, our company came from California. So if you want to talk taxes, there's a whole other argument there.
Right.
People pay taxes. They just want them spent in the right way, right? So that's our challenge, all of us as Minnesotans, is how do we continue to invest back in the state, whether that's private dollars, public dollars. So, it certainly plays a role in this, but this is on all of us to make this a great place to live. If that's the case, it's not a tax issue in a vacuum. And so if we can play a role, bringing innovation, bringing growth to the economy, bringing in new talent, continuing to drive that sort of positive vibe, right, that you can feel when these things happen. We've seen them in other states and in other metropolitan areas. That's where the magic can happen. So we look at it in, sort of a multifaceted way and, try to keep each other honest in all those dimensions. But we're just super excited on what the future brings and whatever small role we can play in the broader equation here in Minnesota.
It's really cool. Let's hope it's the beginning of a movement that starts growing here. Chris Abbott, CEO of Pivot Bio, and we're cheering for your success. So thanks for being with us.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
For the latest tech in the agriculture world to AI, our friend Greg Swan will explain the internet in just a moment. He has used AI to outsource humanity. We'll talk about that when we come back on Drive Time.
Drive Time with DeRUSH on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Tech, sponsored by Lenseek.
Meta may be adding a smartwatch to its device offerings. The information reports that the Facebook and Instagram parent is developing a watch that's codenamed Malibu 2 and will include a built-in Meta AI assistant and have health tracking features. Meta previously shelved its smartwatch plans 5 years ago, but is now expected to take on Apple with its new device later this year. I'm Jason Brooks.
If you own a small business, the pressure never lets up. Something's always coming at you. That's why business owners turn to Lenseek for funding.
I don't need promises. I need options. Lenseek's AI platform showed me real funding choices. Now I can cover payroll, handle taxes, and go after growth opportunities without the daily stress.
Up to $5 million with funding in as fast as 24 hours. No upfront costs. No prepayment penalties. Start ready, stay ready. Lenseek.com. LENDSEEK.com.
Hey, it's Tiki Barber with a special message for any local business owner looking to diversify your income. Amazon Hub Delivery is making it easy to earn extra money. When you partner with Amazon Hub Delivery, you and your staff will deliver packages to customers in your area. With each package delivered, you'll gain extra income and exposure for your business. There's no upfront cost, no delivery experience, and no long-term contracts required. Get started today at Amazon.com/Hub Delivery. That's Amazon.com/HUB Delivery.
Hey, it's Adam Carter here, inviting you to join me November 30th to explore tropical Costa Rica with Colette. We'll stay in the Monteverde Cloud Forest, a place you have to see to believe, where trees grow to heights of 100 feet and the wildlife is abundant from butterflies to sloths. Enjoy breathtaking views in Nature's Museum. Visit a coffee plantation to learn the history from the bean all the way to the cup. Plus, relax in a resort on the most beautiful beach of Guanacaste. This and so much more. Colette handles all the details, flights, meals, hotels, and local experiences. Your only job is to have the time of your life. Do not miss out. Meet me and the folks from Colette on Wednesday, March 18th at 6 p.m. at Park Tavern in St. Louis Park to learn more. Call Colette at 866-436-6734 or visit WCCOradio.com for details. Let's go to Costa Rica.
Get ready for patio season with By the Arts pre-season sale now through March 9th. Upgrade your summer setup and score major savings. For 30 years, they've built maintenance-free furniture that lasts a lifetime, backed by a 35-year warranty and delivered direct to you. Keep in mind, By the Yard's preseason sale ends March 9th. Shop bytheyard.net or visit the showroom near you. By the yard, life is better outdoors.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Got a bit of a mess working for Highway 10 westbound area of Foley Boulevard. Look for the left lane to be closed right now with the emergency vehicles. Also activity off to the right side. Traffic is jammed up as you make way past University, heading out toward Foley Boulevard. So get ready for the slowdown with stop and go stuff. It's also affecting 610 eastbound to go 10 west. Trey Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
With a well-designed will, trust, and estate plan, you can have peace of mind. Choose Matt Gutman of Gutman Law to give yourself peace of mind. Call him now, 612-895-1616 at gutmanlaw.com. Gutman Law, peace of mind today for tomorrow.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Forecast brought to you by Gutman Law, Wills, Trust, and Probate Law at gutmanlaw.com. Here's Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Expect another foggy start tomorrow morning as we fall back to 35 tonight. The wind will be light once again. We'll see some sunshine by afternoon with a high of 52. The active day is Friday. That's when the rain showers will roll through. We might hear a rumble of thunder or two. 52 the afternoon high. Expect snow in northern Minnesota on the backside of the storm system. That will swing through here in the metro even, but less than an inch expected. We do warm up near 60 on Sunday and Monday.
Still way above the average right now. 48 in Shakopee on CCO.
Jason DeRUSH.
I mean, the truth is, I am a terrible influence on Minnesota, on America, and perhaps the world.
Well, I've known that for years, but other people are just finding out.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
From viral chaos to tech, pretend to understand what's next. Let's find out. This is Greg Swan explains the internet.
Greg Swan is here to explain the internet. Greg, it's good to see you.
Oh my gosh, I made it through the fog.
You made it through. You survived the
We
great
made
fog.
it through the feeds, and I want to talk about automating your life today.
All right, so you experienced really one of the promising aspects of AI with just a little widget that you plugged into your smartphone, right?
Absolutely. So when you buy a refrigerator from GE or Samsung or whatever, they don't really tell you how you can use the product. They don't care as long as it's not illegal, right?
Right.
And we're seeing a rise of those sorts of things with AI where you can use AI in lots of different ways. And as long as it's not illegal, you can use it in however you want.
Sure.
So in this case, I love to experiment. I love to use myself as a test case for new and emerging tech and figure out what's going on.
I'm very jealous of this, mainly because I presume that you're able to write off like everything you ever buy.
There is definitely some investment that is needed. So, for example, I hooked a chip into my car that tweeted every trip I made and said where I was going and where I parked. And clearly there's a safety issue there, but that was a different time. I had one of the first ever USB cameras that I hooked up in my living room. So the idea that you could be at an event and you could look outside of your house, that was a new thing, way before the idea of a Ring doorbell. And there are also privacy implications to those. And so what I like to do is experiment with that and push myself to the point where I'm like, oh, I don't like that anymore, and then share those learnings with other people. So in this case, and for those of us watching on the stream or on the video, I'm going to hold it up. It's a little chip, a little black widget that plugs into the bottom of your phone. It's called Blue, the Blue AI chip. And what it does is it essentially gives you a ChatGPT for your entire phone. It gives you control to automate anything a thumb could do on your entire phone across all of your apps in a way that maybe it's more a realized Siri of what we've always wanted it to do, but it also means that you can hook together anything, and maybe anything isn't always the best.
Because the reality is, like, when you think about like Siri or even like the Google automated assistant, Gemini or whatever, using a Samsung phone or a Google phone, it requires a lot of work on our part where you're like, okay, do I have to tell it specifically like open mail, send this, compose to who, subject this? This AI Well, you just demonstrated it to me. You asked Blue to, so you open the Blue app. Is that what you hit?
Yeah, well, there's a Siri call where you could say, "Hey, Blue."
So you called to Blue and said, "Find a funny cat video on TikTok and text it to Jason DeRUSH."
And then I can close my phone and it will open TikTok. It will search for funny cat. It will find a video. It will copy that URL. Now it will open the Messages app. Now it will send it all autonomously. And you're right. You can automate a lot of things on our phone right now. And
Right.
Apple has the Shortcuts app where you can schedule a text to go every single day at a certain time. But crossing apps is different. And so what did I do? I created a schedule. So at 3:30 in the morning, Blue unlocks my phone. It has the code to my phone. And it would delete my unread message or delete my trash.
Screenshots or trash.
It would
or
delete
whatever.
screenshots.
Yeah.
It would go into LinkedIn and approve all of my pending LinkedIn notifications. It would open Facebook and write happy birthday on the walls of everyone whose birthday is that day. And at 3:30 in the afternoon, I had it go to YouTube, search for funny cat videos, and text them to my 16-year-old son. Now,
which seems kind of funny and or annoying.
Absolutely. So was he immediately like, "What are you doing, Dad?" Yes, he was.
Right.
And also, what I learned through this experiment is there are things that I'd love to automate, like going through receipts and filing expense reports, things that are not a good use of human brain. There are things that are maybe not as great to automate, things like texting your own kid. Maybe we shouldn't outsource that.
Right.
And how about wishing happy birthday to someone? This is not necessarily a task or a chore. This is literally my human self wanting to say happy birthday to someone else. And
Did you realize that in the moment that you
No.
were outsourcing something that had like fundamental humanity to it?
No, maybe, but for the sake of the experiment, I suspended that. I didn't quite go there.
Yeah.
And so the outcome of
Because
that,
I don't want to dwell on this too much, but I am sort of obsessed with the happy birthday function of Facebook.
Yeah.
Where I believe that it is one of the best things about Facebook, and one of the happiest days of my year is not because it's my birthday, it's because all these people come out of the woodwork and show that like they cared enough even to spend 10 seconds that they gifted me that much of their thought.
Absolutely.
It's so good.
So what if you found out that due to a $200 chip, or this will most likely be baked into these platforms, that was automated?
Oh, I'd be so mad.
That feels
disappointed.
bad.
Yes.
And even though you can do it, even though you can automate things and let AI take over, should you? And that is the experiment here, where we're essentially outsourcing humanity one click at a time.
It felt uncomfortable to you once you realized it, or when did it feel like, all right, like I can't, I enjoy doing this, I don't want to offload it?
There was a moment where in a different text thread that I had automated something, and someone said, "Wow, 3 days in a row, like you're really on fire." And I said, "I have a confession. I am using an AI chip to do this." And they said, "I hate this." And we had a discussion. And then they said, "Have you been doing that this whole time? Like for years?"
Oh.
And I said, "Oh no, I swear to God, that's me." And now I've put myself in an uncomfortable position. Again, I do this for the listeners, Jason.
Sort of
This
heartbreaking,
is a service
right?
that I
Like,
provide.
your friend was truly like, had that moment of like, is this all just, is this real?
Yeah, and I said, "I got to tell you, I regret this." And this was a line. And I found the line, and it turns out there are red lines that we shouldn't cross as humans. And again, this is a service that I provide
What a
for our
gift.
listeners.
Yes, a true, a giver.
But I do think I'm not using Blue for human to human things right now.
Okay.
I've introduced risk by giving software the code to my phone. It could essentially open my bank account. It could do a lot of things. And so I'm not using that function anymore.
Other things that sort of didn't work out the way you had wanted them to?
Yeah, I think that maybe adding anyone on LinkedIn was not the right move, because I let a bunch of vendors in, and I work at
Hey,
big agency that wants to try to sell me stuff. And so you can see where there's downsides of those things.
manager?
And I just hadn't thought through all of the things. It was so easy to automate it. And then on the backside, you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have given away that part, that maybe building my own network on LinkedIn is actually something. And I'm sure there are people who are listening to this and they're like, of course, stupid. Like, of course. But it was so easy to start to knit together these simple things without having to know how to code, without having to know, install a special app and all that sort of thing. And I think, with what's happening in Washington and with the Department of War right now, we are seeing Anthropic and OpenAI say there is a red line. We should not automate mass surveillance. We should not automate taking of lives in war. And the truth is, the second that you can automate something, in my experience, you do until you overstep. And I think that what we're seeing in the news and playing out right now is people looking ahead and saying, maybe we shouldn't overstep.
Greg Swan is with us. It is, part of what I find fascinating here is that for most of us who don't work in a job where, like, I know everyone thinks AI is going to take over everything. And there are parts of my life where, like, maybe it would be easier if AI could efficiently read every new article on the internet and suggest things that would fit in the style of my show. Like, that would be very helpful. But outside of that, like, a lot of what I do is sort of infused with my personality. It's hard to offload it. I think a lot of our listeners are like, I don't know, like, I understand the fear. I'm a little afraid of it. But, like, AI is not, we never jumped in on Siri. We
Sure.
never, I'm not using the shortcuts necessarily.
Yeah, maybe I had an Amazon Echo to start, but Alexa wasn't helpful in my kitchen, and I don't have that anymore.
Now I just use the timer. Like, that's what I use Alexa for.
And also, it's come out, Facebook, Meta, the parent company of Facebook, has a patent, and they've been working on creating clones based on Facebook profiles so that your loved one could continue to post after they pass away. That's not something I'm interested in. And also, that is technology that is being built. And so it's fascinating when we start thinking about how these technologies can start to hit the most human parts of who we are. Well, we maybe haven't even just felt that was a human thing I needed to protect. It didn't occur to me before that my happy birthday to Dan and Jason on their birthdays, I know that it's meaningful to you because I know it's meaningful to me. I was able to quickly outsource that to a task to make sure I didn't miss it. I don't want to miss it. But also then I took out the best part, which is that I'm thinking about you and that then you receive that another human thought about you.
All right. I want to talk a little bit because you raised the issue with the Department of Defense, Department of War. There has been quite a bit of controversy over AI and its role there, and should Congress act, and what, I guess I'm curious how you interpret all of this as to what sort of the market and what regular people are saying when it comes to the use of AI. So we'll do that in just a minute. Greg Swan visits with us every month. You can subscribe to his Substack. It's called Social Signals, and you just search Greg Swan at Substack, and you can get to that. More with Greg in just a minute here on CCO.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRUSH. Video streaming live on YouTube and always on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO.
All right, you can't outsource the arms wide out. You can't AI Chris Lindahl, I'll tell you that. Do you want to AI? I don't know, actually, if anyone would AI themselves. I know Chris Lindahl pretty well. I could see him coming up with some sort of AI bit. It's Jason here. Always happy to talk about Chris. I've known him for a long time. You know him for the billboards. You know, outsized personality. What's funny when you get to know Chris is that real life Chris is well, he's still pretty outsized. Like, let's be real. But it's way more muted than you would expect. But what he is always focused on is creative people, innovative ideas, and how to bring the most out of his team so he can give back and be generous. One of his core principles is being generous. The innovative side of this has been the biggest surprise to me about the guaranteed cash offer, which you can get at chrislindahl.com. I always thought that the kind of people who want to take a guaranteed cash offer are people who need to be done with a house fast. Maybe you have a job change. You're moving to another city. Maybe you inherit a house. Maybe there's a divorce or a family situation that has you needing to get money or get out. Over the last year, there's been a shift. More and more people who normally would have gone on the open market are saying, this way of selling a house is broken, and I don't want to deal with it. My time is worth more than the extra little money I'd eke out by selling the old way. Especially in the winter, you want to go on the open market? I don't think so. Get a big red check from Chris Lindahl. See if it makes sense for you. Go to the website. It is chrislindahl.com.
Whoa, 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 whoa. What are you doing?
Sir, I'm just writing up a warning.
This make you feel like a big man? I didn't realize this would trigger a citywide crisis. Has the mayor been made aware?
Sir, I wasn't going to issue...
Yeah, just doing your job, huh? Oh, you're really stamping out crime, issuing parking tickets.
Well, I wasn't going to, but now I am. Have a nice day.
Honey, that's not even our car.
No, some people play golf. I do this.
If stirring the pot is your idea of fun, call us. We love a good debate. News Talk 830 WCCO.
Staples has got hot deals and super low prices on everything for your business. And right now, brand your business at Staples with up to 30% off custom labels. Shop Staples in-store, online, or in the app. Ends 4/18. Visit staples.com/print for details.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, what's up, flies? This is David Spade.
Dana Carvey.
Look, I know we never actually left, but I'll just say it. We are back with another season of Fly on the Wall.
Every episode, including ones with guests, will now be on video. Every Thursday, you'll hear us and see us chatting with big-name celebrities.
And every Monday, you're stuck with just me and Dana. We react to news, what's trending, viral clips.
Follow and listen to Fly on the Wall everywhere you get your podcasts.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
We've got a crash still working for Highway 10 westbound near Foley Boulevard. Left lane shut down. Also activity off to the right side. Traffic is slow as you make way toward Highway 610 with basically stop levels of traffic in that area. Traveling along 35 east southbound, slowing and move out of St. Paul, heading down to Randolph. If you're over on the west side of the metro, North 169, some slowing Minnetonka Boulevard, heading up to Medicine Lake Road. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
You sit on your deck and you're sick of looking at your crappy siding. Type JTR on your computer for roofing, siding, gutters, windows, and more. JTR Roofing has you covered from the roof on down, serving the Twin Cities metro. For a free estimate, visit jtrroofinginc.com.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Forecast time brought to you by JTR Roofing. Tonight, 35. Little bit of fog tonight. Nothing like we saw in the morning. Tomorrow morning, though, might be a similar deal. 52 is the high, and then Friday we're watching for rain. Some snow to the north. Doesn't sound like a lot on Friday night. Right now, it's 47 on CCO.
Where curiosity hits the gas. Drive time with DeRUSH on News Talk 830 WCCO.
What's next? Let's find out. This is Greg Swan Explains the Internet.
Greg Swan is with us. He's about to take the Greg Swan Show on the road next week.
We're going to be at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. Me and the Finn Partners team are going to be there learning all about the latest and greatest technology and how it's going to affect brands and what does that mean for their PR, social media, and marketing programs.
You know, we have a lot of marketing firms, of course, here in the Twin Cities. But before you came on, we interviewed the CEO of an ag tech firm. And, you know, he's moved his headquarters here to Minnesota from Berkeley, which I just think is so interesting. So many, and I've been talking more and more to economic development people about what companies are looking for when they move here. And man, the way we talk about this as regular people is 0% what companies are thinking about. Like, we're like, oh, the taxes, the business taxes. you're like, yes, that's a real concern if you're like a one-plant operation. If you're a global company that thinks you're going to be a $100 billion company, you're really not that worried about corporate business tax. You're worried about, like, where are the smart people?
And the talent pool here is unbelievable for marketing and for digital insights. And I even brought Cargill down to South by Southwest a number of years ago to do a sustainability dinner, which was wonderful.
It's just interesting. Like, sometimes we think, like, we know what, I bet you should be asking. And then I'm talking to economics. They're like, no, these companies, if you're moving headquarters, you're thinking about 10 or 20 or 30 years.
Yeah.
You're not worried about whoever the city council people are today, Kind
Sure.
of interesting. All right, Greg Swan with us. Before break, we talked about how Greg Swan was outsourcing some of his personality by letting an AI tool called Blue take over his phone. The issue of AI has been a big one nationally right now. And AI has been a big issue, obviously, in general. But when you're looking at the Department of War and sort of this debate between OpenAI and Anthropic, and then we've heard about Claude, can you sort of dumb this down for us as to what the dispute is about here?
Sure. So we have had a lot of conflicted feelings as humans about AI coming into our work, the environmental impact, how it was trained, how it will be used. Is it going to change our jobs? This war in Iran has all of a sudden brought this focus of, how is AI used in war? What is legal? What is ethical? And how much control do we have? Which you've been talking about the rest of your show today. So Anthropic is the company behind Claude. They had a contract, they have a government contract, and have been providing services, including to the Department of War. They came up and said, we feel strongly that this product should not be used for surveillance of Americans and for autonomous decisions, meaning a weapon of war could be used to end a life without a human in the loop. That created a lot of consternation, a lot of love from people on the internet of saying, hey, thanks for standing up for something, company. We haven't seen a lot of that lately, standing for what you believe. And also the government said, absolutely not. Because you've said this, we're going to blacklist you and you won't be able to use this from a federal perspective, which is essentially a poison pill for a company in the United States these days. And OpenAI, which is the company behind ChatGPT, came out and they said, of course they'd love the business.
Sure.
And they came in behind and said, okay, we have similar stance on red lines, but we essentially have different language and an interpretation that you can stand behind. And after there's a lot of public outcry, Sam Altman came out. Both companies are posting what they believe. The government is saying some things. And what I'm watching is what consumers are doing, because consumers are deleting ChatGPT. They are installing Claude. In fact, Claude climbed to the #1 app in the App Store over the weekend. ChatGPT uninstalls spiked by almost 300% in one day last week. My entire Threads feed is full of tutorials of how to migrate out of ChatGPT into Claude, because we don't have a lot of control over what's happening in Washington or what these companies do, but consumers do have control over where they spend their money and where they want to use AI in their personal lives.
And that's sort of the sort of capitalism system working, where regular people, the power we have is very much related to where we spend our money and what we install and what we uninstall.
Yeah, and we've seen the same thing with Amazon, with big box retailer here in the Twin Cities, where that has been incredibly important. Also, this is a signal for other companies who already weren't speaking out about things like ICE or DEI or whatever, because they know that there's recourse.
Right.
And we're now seeing that in AI too. What I think is fascinating is that when I open this segment saying you buy a refrigerator, they don't really care what you put in it or not, as long as it's not illegal. The AI companies, and now including Sam Altman, the CEO of ChatGPT, yesterday had an all-hands company meeting where he said, maybe you think the Iran strike was good and the Venezuela invasion was bad. You don't get to weigh in on that. We don't get to have a say in how people use our tools. And this is an interesting parallel
interesting, right?
to me using automation on my own phone to do things that don't feel good as a human. And I see a real parallel here where I'm clearly not anti-AI and also have a human perspective on where that's going to be. The issue isn't use. The issue is, where does that human boundary sit?
Yeah.
Who gets to define it, and how lawful can become a loophole. So clearly, automating the heck out of our lives is removing humans is bad. And that is a question that we're going to have to contend with for a long time.
It's super interesting to think about. I'm so glad you helped set the table for us with some of these issues today. Greg Swan, terrific stuff. And you can follow Greg on his Substack, gregswan.substack.com. Social Signals, it's called. Finn Partners is where he works. And have a good time at South by Southwest.
I promise I'm going to be as human as possible.
Yes, when we get a happy birthday from Greg, we'll know it's coming straight from your thumbs.
I promise.
That's it for us. Henry Lake is next. We'll be with you tomorrow. See you then.
Own rental property in the Twin Cities, but feel like it owns you?